On Friday afternoon, that will be a 4 o'clock Eastern start. That's 3 o'clock local time, 4 o'clock Eastern start. And then they'll also take on Hope College in Holland, Michigan on Saturday evening. That's a 7 p.m. Eastern time start. Also going on tonight in Wheaton Thunder Athletics is the volleyball game. The volleyball team hosting their first conference match of the year as Augustana comes into town. That's in King Arena. That's at 7 o'clock as well. So if you're in the area, if you don't feel like enjoying soccer, or if you'd rather listen to us on the radio and TV, you can also catch a little bit of volleyball in King Arena.
And if you don't want to listen to us, we don't blame you either.
So. We don't, not at all. No hard feelings at all.
So with the teams on the pitch right now, we take a look at the starting lineups. First for your Thunder, you're going to see Ryan Seeger in the back of the net, Corey Weaver, Adam Blackman, Dan Pavlak, Matt Hussey in front of him, joined by Jason Bada, Drew Goltz, Colt Martin, Josh Clark, Mitchell Parr, and Chad Musgraves will round out the starting lineup for the Thunder. We expect not to see Jordan Goltz again tonight, still trying to nurse up and get healthy. So we will expect to hopefully see him this weekend, but we expect not to see him tonight. You look on the other side for the Maroons. They have the freshman in net, Elick Lane, who has started 2 of the 3 games he's appeared in, has yet to surrender a goal in 225 minutes. In net, has made just 2 saves, though, so this is a goalie who has not been tested all that much. The starting lineup for the Maroons, number 6, Matt Beccatito. Number 11, Jorge Sanchez-Cummings. Number 14, Adam Shamley. And number 15, Stephen Chase. Number 16, Garrett Laird. Number 17, Rashad Masri. Number 18, Alex Onfroy. 20, Sawyer Kiskin. 22, Sam Preston. 24, Kyle Kerpers. And then Lane in goal. So they do start several freshmen. Vaquito, number 6, is a freshman. Jorge Sanchez-Cummings is a freshman. So this is a young team. Kerfurst and Lane and goal are freshmen. This is a young team for Chicago that's really starting to find their groove. And it's when you start freshmen, sometimes it takes you a while, which makes that 2-1 loss to Dominican a little bit more impressive because we assume that that's the same starting lineup that they had for that game. So when you're throwing some freshmen of the Wolves there against Dominican, and they're making a good showing.
A young and talented team, and that equals dangerous for the University of Chicago Maroons. Now, you mentioned the injury to Jordan Goals, Rusty. Jordan has an injured foot that he had in the preseason. He played on a little bit in the Bob Baptista Invitational with sparing minutes, but during practice he re-aggravated it, so he was out last weekend. He remains out for tonight's game and hopes to get some sparing minutes this weekend as the team travels to Michigan. Another injury to keep an eye out for was Josh Lawler, Jason Lawler, rather, the midfielder who had a shot to the jaw in the goal box on a corner kick last weekend in Capital University. And taking his spot at center mid will be Jason Bada. So it'll be interesting to see how Jason embraces his role in the starting lineup for tonight's game. As the starting lineups are getting finished off, Josh Clark got introduced. Mitchell Parr and Chad Musgraves will be the final ones to get introduced. And then we'll have the national anthem before the first 45 minutes get underway. Rusty, this is a pretty big game for the Thunder, the first of 4 that we've mentioned that are of very much importance as they go to Michigan this weekend and then take on Dominican University a week from today.
Now, you mentioned having Bada in the starting lineup. He's an experienced player. He's going to give you a physical presence. He's a big body in the middle of the field, so they're not going to see a drop-off physically from Jason Lawler. You're going to see Bada get in there, win 50-50 balls, be a physical presence in the midfield. And right now we will step aside for the playing of our national anthem. That was our national anthem, and with that, we do want to take this opportunity to thank all of those in service, either currently or in the past, at home or abroad, especially in the wake of the 9/11 anniversary this weekend. We do want to, if you're listening out there, thanks for joining us, but we do want to spend our special thanks to all those in service, either in the past or are currently. We had several Wheaton military alum who were listening to the football game on Saturday, and that was kind of neat to hear from them. But we do want to thank you for your service, and especially coming off a very emotional weekend where you saw the entire sports landscape really meant something more than just an athletic event. So you kind of move on from that, and we expect a very good soccer game here tonight. Obviously, the crowd's still filing in. One thing to note, the wildfires in Minnesota playing a little bit of a factor as far as the weather here. We've had hazy, kind of smoky-ish weather all day here, even in the Chicago suburbs. So you start getting and you're breathing in that smoke a little bit. You might see some defensive rotations altered a little bit deeper, as it's not very often you see something from that far affecting us. But you can smell it walking around campus earlier today, and you can still see the haze in the air as the wind's just blowing those wildfires and that smoke out of Minnesota and down towards Chicago. You looked at the Chicago skyline this afternoon, and it was quite hazy.
University of Chicago will take the initial kickoff. They play it along to the back defensive line, and we get the first 45 minutes underway. The University of Chicago out in their, what do you know, their maroon jerseys with the white shorts and white trim with gray numbers. Wheaton out in their white jerseys with blue numbers and orange trim with blue shorts. Chicago moving left to right as we see it at the press box here at Joe Bean Stadium. Back and forth go the initial headers of the night. It's on the ground in the defensive half of Chicago. They clear it coming around the right side to Sam Preston. Preston trying to keep it down. It got deflected away. It goes for Wheaton throw-in. Throw-in comes into Corey Weaver. The senior had a goal in his last match, his first goal of the year. Ball gets deflected out of bounds. Mitchell Parr will take the throw-in once again on the near sideline. Thought about going backwards toward Matt Hussey. Instead goes forward toward goals. Gets headed away and out of bounds by Jorge Sanchez Cummings. Another throw-in coming for Mitchell Parr. Parr gets it in. Preston knocks away with the right foot and slowly but surely moves the ball up the field.
Tell you what, about three more, they're going to have themselves a first down there.
Cleared out of the congestion into the Wheaton defensive half. Matt Hussey has it. He'll clear all the way back to Ryan Seeger, who has the ball at his feet in his goal box for the first time. He'll go right side to Colt Martin as the Thunder look to build from back to front.
Something to watch out of the Chicago defensive formation. They're going to pack guys behind the ball and wait for an opportunity just to explode on the counterattack. You've already seen 10 behind the ball so far. So they're going to look to condense the field on you offensively, really make you possess well, find passing lanes, and shorten the distance of your passes.
Bada touches one on to Drew Goals, who plays back left to Mitchell Parr coming along the near sideline. Parr still with the ball in the defensive half, trying to get toward goals. It got knocked away. Well done, well cleared there by Rashad Masri into the right corner, threatening to go over the end line. Hussey has position. He lets it go over the end line. Ryan Seeger will have his first goal kick of the evening.
Yeah, good opportunity there for the 1-2. Had it got to Drew Goltz just a little bit too far in front. Musgraves had a nice release up the near sideline there. So the Thunder are going to have to look for triangles, try to get some short passes, some give and goes, maybe some overlapping here in order to really open up this defense.
Chicago intercepts just in their offensive half. They move left to right, and they're in a hurry. Playing left side, Colt Martin is, though. He intercepts. Martin plays in toward the middle to Weaver. Weaver, the ball at his feet. Thought about making a move, tries to roll one up for Bada, but the first one to get there was Sanchez. Sanchez tried to hit a man rolling right side, but Dan Pavlik was there instead. Mitchell Parr has it at his feet, gives to Colt Martin. Martin moving right to left. Plays one to Adam Blackman, the freshman on the far sideline. Goes up toward Josh Clark. Gets deflected away, back and forth it goes off the left foot of Blackman. Header won by the Maroons. Now at the feet of Adam Shamlian. Shamlian clears over the midfield line. Heading it away is Colt Martin. It'll be out of bounds for a Maroon throw-in. And taking it quickly was Adam Blackman, thinking it belonged to the Wheaton Thunder. The referee calls him back, the sideline referee that is, and it'll go back to the Maroons.
You know, interesting to note, these two teams play each other a lot non-conference and other sports, but this is the first time the two men's soccer programs have met since 2008 when the Thunder pitched a 2-0 shutout of the Maroons. So a lot of times you see teams geographically this close, they have an annual non-conference game, but this is the first time in a few years that the Thunder and the Maroons have met on the pitch.
It is the sixth season for head coach Scott Wasinski at the University of Chicago, a team that went 8-8 a season ago, but won the conference title. Josh Clark possesses to himself off a little chest touch, now plays left side for Musgraves, but he overshot him. Musgraves tried to turn around to possess it. Ball rolls over the sideline. It'll be a Maroon throw-in. Still no score. Just over 3 minutes into the contest. Throw-in comes in just over midfield. Getting position is Matt Vaquito. Vaquito with Pavlak fronting. Rolls it into the middle. Play along the right sideline, but Mitchell Parr was there. Touches to Musgraves. Musgraves tries to work around a man. Unable to do so. Weaver, though, picks up the rebound. Gets it to Clark. Clark plays middle circle. Gets it toward Blackman, but the Maroons were there first. Moving left to right. Pass played up. Colt Martin is there. Martin trying to hit Clark over the midfield stripe. Clark takes a spill. Chicago gets to it. It's Kyle Kerr first. Plays in toward the middle. Weaver's there, though. Jason Bada. Bada plays along left side. Mitchell Parr giving chase. He'll get there. Parr brings it across. Defers to Musgraves. Musgraves sprinting in toward the middle. Trying to play a through ball into Clark. Clark had it touched away. Musgraves gives chase. Unable to get there. The Maroon defense got there first. Touch in comes behind.
And here's that counterattack we talked about. Chicago coming right at it, trying to thread the long ball through. And the Thunder were ready for it right away. But when you try to get that first initial one, and you're ready for it, but as the game goes on, you kind of mentally you hit that peak, and then you start to digress in the middle minutes of the game. So the Thunder are going to have to be aware of that coming all night. This is a very organized Chicago counterattack.
Very valid point indeed. Goals, one touch to Clark, back to Goals. Goals gets shouldered off the ball, cleared away by the defense. Onto the feet of Sawyer Kiskin. Kiskin plays it back for Garrett Laird. Laird plays middle for Stephen Chase. Chase had it knocked away, but getting it back is Vaquito. He's sent to the ground. It'll be a free kick for the Thunder as the first foul of the game has been called. Looks like it'll be against Dan Pavlak. Free kick is quickly taken and played backwards. Now going along left side to Alex Onfroy. Onfroy, a long left-footed boot. Way up and over and out, hitting the back netting over by the public safety building.
Yeah, that's a pretty ambitious look for Chicago. They were very patient in their approach. They were, possessing, trying to work and find creases, and then Onfroy just decided to wind up and take that one from about 35 out. You've got a very small window for success on shots like that, but
Seeger plays a short goal kick to Mitchell Parr. Parr plays middle for Goals. Goals leaves one to Musgraves. Musgraves gets doubled. Goes back left to Parr. Parr the ball at his feet. Calmly sets it down. Chips one toward Goals. Goals physically fronted by Adam Shamley. And Goals, as always, demanding a lot of defensive attention, as he should.
Yeah, this is a defensive approach that's going to play well for the likes of Chad Musgraves, who's very fleet-footed, very creative with the ball. We've seen some nice touches from Josh Clark already, but they're gonna struggle. Drew Goltz will struggle in this because he is a very finesse player, but he's also a big fella who can get a little bit of a bull in a china shop when he gets condensed. So they're gonna look to frustrate Drew at the front, squeeze him. You've seen double, triple teams when he touches the ball so far. So Drew's gonna have to maintain his composure on the front of the formation.
Just over 6 minutes into the match, no score from Joe Bean Stadium. Ball played through toward Goals. Defense getting Chase getting their first. Goals tries to touch it away, but falling up to the side and making the Spears Elick Lane.
And they were going to have a foul on Drew anyhow. Had Lane not make that, actually they will call the foul. So no shot attempt for Drew as Drew came pressing through the back of Rashad Masri. And I don't think Masri was expecting Drew to go step for step with him all the way to the ball.
Goals has a habit of doing that, though, relentlessly giving pressure on the defender, and because it's plays like that sometimes wreak havoc and cause people to snap, and Goals has definitely had a lot of shot opportunities that way in his career. Looks for more of that. Colt Martin tries to clear it away in the defensive half of the Thunder. It goes out of bounds. It'll be a Thunder throw.
I'm not so sure, based on where they spotted that ball, that they didn't get Goals being offsides. He was trying to retreat to the ball and then all of a sudden took off heading back towards the goal. So I think they might have actually got him offsides just based on where they spotted the ball on the free kick. The official kind of made a point that they kept working the ball forward and forward more.
Shamlian plays the ball in toward the 18-yard box, leaving it for Sawyer Kiskin. Sawyer unleashed a shot, but it was well wide. Ryan Seeger just looked at it, decided to pick up another ball and try a goal kick.
First two attempts at goal, not very confident for the Maroons.
Mitchell Parr plays middle to Weaver. Weaver goes back middle to Matt Hussey. Hussey's been a solid, stagnant piece of that defensive line for Coach Mike Giuliano, who's putting together a new defensive system this year than he's had in the past. Martin plays one back to Hussey. Hussey has room in the defensive third. Goes back to Colt. A little bit give back ball. Hussey now changes field. Get to Parr. Parr touches to Bada. Wheaton still possessing in their defensive half. Bada nearly lost it. Now he does. Vaquito. Now with the ball is Kerr first. Kerr first plays into the back circle. Touching is Laird. Laird goes to Shamlian. Shamlian plays back to Rashad Masri. Masri back to Shamley in the middle circle. Shamley a left foot touch. Touches it nicely to Stephen Chase. Chase trying to hit Makito, but Matt Hussey got there first. Well-timed play by Hussey. For the tackles, he defers to Musgraves coming near sideline. Musgraves switches direction, gets it to Parr. Mitchell going back and forth. A lot of defensive pressure right now at the point of attack from Chicago. Wheaton feels it, drops it back to Hussey. Here's Weaver. Weaver, back and forth he goes. Now he's going to throw a streak ball down to Mitchell Parr. Good idea from Weaver and the defender. Parr gives chase into the offensive third, and it rolls over the sideline for a Maroon throw-in. But a good idea, nonetheless, from Matt Hussey and Mitchell Parr.
You just saw two very good ways to move it, beat this defense. They actually got a foul before it went out of bounds there against Mitchell Parr. But when you saw them swing the field, when they're going to condense, they're going to press it onto the short side of the field. And so when you swing it like that and you create passing angles, that's one way to beat the defense. And the other one was that overlapping run you got where Sanchez coming on the near side was pressed up against Musgraves, and Parr releases out of the back, overlapping Musgraves. There's a good steal by Goltz.
Goltz touches to Musgraves. Musgraves brings it into the box, tries to go back in the middle for Goltz. Goltz falls to the turf. No foul called. No foul called as Josh Clark, who fell to the turf in the middle of the box. A good ball by Musgraves. Clark had his hands in the air looking for the foul. None was called. Musgraves touches out of bounds as a Maroon player was down on the ground inside the box. And that was Sanchez Cummings.
Yeah, and that's why Musgraves, you saw him just touch it out of play. We thought Sanchez Cummings was still down, and he was actually on the way of getting up. But still the sportsmanlike play by Chad Musgraves.
Ball's thrown into the Maroons, and they'll defer it right back to Ryan Seeger in another show of sportsmanship. Seeger comes out of his ball to possess. Goes right side to Colt Martin. Very possessive offense from the Thunder, as we've seen from them all season. Seeger always playing the goal kicks short. Now Colt Martin tries to play a through ball up. Kept in play somehow by Adam Blackman. However, the Maroon defense is there just before it gets to the end line.
Blackman is playing some impressive speed down the far sideline. Really surprised the defender, who thought he didn't need to shield that end line. And there's Blackman to keep the touch and play.
Goals tries to touch one on. Thor in Musgrave's direction. Instead, Rashad Masri was there. And is cleared back to Elick Lane, the freshman keeper. And he might be a freshman, but he's well built. 6'2", 165-pounder from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. He gets a boot into it. Chicago now has the ball in the Wheaton defensive half. Ball played up. Hussey gets there first. Wins it in the air. But touch now at the ground, the Maroons still possess. Playing right side. Shamlian comes in toward Preston. Preston plays back to Shamlian. Shamlian changes direction, goes left side, hits Kerr first. Kerr first, back to Shamlian, plays behind him Masri. Masri sizes up the defense, takes a couple dribbles, plays a pooch ball in toward the 18-yard box, giving chases Vakito. Vakito falls to the turf. It gets cleared away. Pavlak has the ball deep in the left corner. Had it touched away, and finally coming over is Matt Hussey with the left foot to clear it out of the box. Goals trying to win it with a header. It falls at the feet of Clark. Nicely touched away, though, by Rashad Masri. High into the air goes Vakito by himself in offsides position. Seeger comes out and clears it away. Vakito falls to the turf. Wanted a foul called. None was called at the top left corner of the 18-yard box. He'll be out of bounds for Chicago throw-in.
I'll tell you what, Seeger made the play he had to make there. The flag was not up on the near sideline, and they had beat the offsides trap. So Seeger came rushing off the line and got just enough of the ball to avoid the foul right at the top of the 18.
Just over 12 minutes in. Or excuse me, 12 and a half minutes in. Still no score from Joe Beat Stadium. Wheaton College and the University of Chicago. Both teams coming into the game 3-1. Wheaton coming off a victory last Saturday night against Capital University 4-2. And the Maroons have won 3 straight. Now they look to attack. A long shot coming in. Seeger gives chase, looks at it. It falls, though. 5 feet wide of the left post. Another long shot opportunity from the Maroons, Rusty.
Yeah, you've seen them very patient to possess all the way up to about the 30 to 25-yard marker, and then they're just letting them rip from there. That was one I felt he could have carried the ball another 5-10 yards or so. He had space, but instead opted to let it rip, and Seeger got to the post and then watched it go wide.
Bada tracks down a throw and plays to Mitchell Parr. Parr in the Wheaton offensive third. Parr dribbling in toward the middle. The defender still with the ball at his feet, tried to pass it up. Had it taken away. Parr nearly got it back. Got shoveled off the ball, though. The Maroons possess. But tripping over the ball of the offense, Blackman has it, works around a man. Nice tackle, though, made by Mazron.
And here comes the counter.
Bada, though, there to get in front of it.
Confident touch from Bada.
Indeed it was, as he's getting his first start of the year. Played quality minutes in the Capital match, but due to the injury to Lawler, Bada gets the starting nod. Weaver now possesses the Wheaton offensive half. Weaver trying to play into the near side left corner to Musgraves, but he overshot him just a tad. Goes over the end line. He'll be a goal kick.
You're seeing the balls into space into the corner going to Musgrave. Musgrave, speed-wise, seems to have the step on Sanchez coming. They just have to get it timed right and get it into space. That one kind of forced Musgraves to turn on the burners, and he ran out of room down in the near corner. But Musgrave seems to be the guy they're looking for to kind of beat this backline trap.
He might be playing a very significant part as the minutes wear on both defenses and offenses. The Maroons possess the ball coming in toward the middle is Kerfurst. Kerfurst unleashing a shot. The defense was there to knock it away again 30 yards out. Bada with the ball at his feet, plays toward the left side. Goals trying to win position, gets touched away, and having it is Stephen Chase. Turning around toward Masri, touched by Preston. Now played left side. The ball at his feet is Matheny. Now back in the defensive half for the Maroons. Martin makes a slide tackle, falls to the ground. No whistle blows. Josh Clark has the ball at his feet, touches toward Drew Goals. Flag goes up.
That was a great job by Colt Martin. Sometimes dangerous when you press your defenseman all the way up like that, but Colt's a guy who can get up there and then get back on time. Nice touch from Josh Clark, but Drew just a step quicker than the ball is played. Otherwise, he was into space on the far side of the box.
Wheaton has not managed a shot yet. Chicago has managed 3 of their own. They usually dominate the shots categories, as they have shot 59 to the opponent's 21.
I think that's a factor. They really pack guys behind the ball, and they play very collective defense in the back line, so that you're going to have to be very strong with the ball, possessing the ball, very sound passing, or you're just not going to get shot attempts. These guys are too well put together in the back.
Bada tries to touch one on toward Musgraves. It was a good-looking ball. Forces Adam Shamlian to head it away and out of bounds. Musgraves throws into Parr. Parr plays a left foot pass to Weaver. Weaver one touch toward Bada, who tries to fight for it. Foul call, and it'll go in the direction of the Thunder, as the guilty party is Stephen Chase.
It's a good opportunity if Bada can put it on target here, and they're going to slow it down and make sure that they do take advantage of it. You might even see them switch the kick taker, and you're actually going to have got a Chicago defender down right behind the ball.
Well, an interesting situation there, as
it's Matt Vaquito.
That is Matt Vaquito, and it was head coach Scott Wierzewski that looked at Vaquito, who was about to come off the field, pointed him, told him to stay on the ground.
You know, he's pointing at his knee. Initially, it looked like he might be cramping up. It's one of those nights weather-wise. You know, cool temperatures in the air, but he's really pointing to his knee, and he'll be helped off the field. So the sub for the Maroons is going to be Nick Hollenkamp. Hollenkamp's another freshman.
Hollenkamp now coming into the game for Vaquito, but safer to say we do expect to see Vaquito coming back into the game at some point.
Vaquito's a guy who started all 4 matches for the Maroons, put up 5 shots, does have a goal on the season.
Bada approaches the free kick from about 30 yards out, gets a left foot into it. High into the air goes Pavlak to try to head it in toward the box. It's played in toward the left side corner and touched out of bounds by the Thunder. It'll be a throw-in for the Maroons.
It's a nice piece. It's a nice kick by Bada. You kind of bend that back towards the far side of the 8. Just a little bit too far, got Pavlak pinned against the end line.
Chicago defense clears away into the Wheaton defensive half. Parr touches it with a foot. Now coming back with it is Matheny. Kerfurst. Kerfurst plays it back to Shamlian, who goes into the back half toward Rashad Masri. Masri sizes it up, plays in toward the middle, toward Hollenkamp, who just came into the game, but Pavlak wins that ball. Pavlak passes it on to Musgraves, overshot him though, goes out of bounds. Pavlak has been finding an injured foot over the past weekend, playing some sparing minutes, but now he's back in the starting rotation. Hopes to get his lion's share of minutes back as well on that left side of the defense.
So into the game for Stanton Covell. He is their leading scorer on the season. He has 3 goals on 14 shots, does have an assist to add to that. So that's going to be a guy that the Thunder are going to have to keep marked up at all time. You have to assume that that's going to be Dan Pavlik's job.
Dan Pavlak, the all-region defender from a season ago. Ball played on toward the left side. Colt Martin does a nice job to shoulder off his man and win the ball. Matt Hussey touched it a little too far, cleared it away instead of possessing it. Because of the pressure that was coming from the Chicago offense, it goes out of bounds for a Maroon throw-in. Still no score, just over 27 minutes remain in the first half. The Maroons in the Wheaton defensive half. Still looking to throw it in. Getting in toward the 18-yard box, cleared high in the air by Parr. Header up in the air by Hollenkamp. Weaver trying to win it. It gets touched in toward the top of the 18-yard box. The shot is played. It falls wide. Seeger watches it go. Gave a look at it, made sure it was out of his reach and out of the post reach. And it's out of bounds for a goal kick.
Yeah, the Thunder dodged a bullet there, and the fact that some sloppy play in the back didn't come back to hurt them.
Yeah, there was some sloppy play in the back of Saturday night's game against Capital when they were unable to clear a ball in the 18-yard box for a while, and that resulted in a goal. Something that they've stressed in practice, though, to clean up their defensive mishaps. Matt Hussey in the defensive half. He has it, clears away with a right-footed boot in the direction of Drew Goals. However, Masri was there first with a header touch. Bada switching direction, plays in the middle circle to Pavlak. Pavlak leaves it for Mitchell Parr. Parr receiving from defensive pressure by Sam Preston. Ball played in toward the middle to Bada. Bada getting out of the circle, still getting defensive pressure, this time from Stephen Chase. And finally the Maroons win it. Their pressure pays off. Preston the ball at his feet. Touches now. Shamlian. Shamlian sizes one up. Tries to get a through ball into the middle. Hollenkamp trying to touch it along the right side. It rolls into the arms of Seeger, as it was just nicked away by Matt Hussey. In between him and Mitchell Parr, they let a ball roll into the hands of their keeper. Parr now the ball at his feet. Plays to the middle to Corey Weaver. Weaver works around a couple. Bypasses Bada. Rolls one to Martin instead. Martin, a right footer. A little too far over the head of Josh Clark. Into the arms of the Seeger's counterpart, Eli Lane.
Counting down on 25 minutes left in the first half, and so far you have to give the edge to Chicago as far as the quality of possession that they have had. They've got some looks into the attacking third, but the Thunder aren't possessing well enough to continue that drive into the attacking third, tend to be turning the ball over more and more in the midfield.
Chase played toward Preston. Mitchell Parr took the touch away, goes out of bounds, as it was off of Jorge Sanchez. Parr takes the throw-in, gets it to Corey Weaver. Weaver, a back heel touch to himself, now switches direction, plays deep right side toward Adam Blackman. Blackman gives chase, has the ball at his feet, goes one-on-one toward the corner. He scored a goal such as that position in last week's Saturday night's game against Capital. Scored a couple of them, one of them that way. He has a throw-in now, gives it to Martin. Martin plays left foot in toward Bada, but Bada was unable to get to it. Into the arms of Eli Lane once again.
You're starting to see why Lane's only been bothered by 2 shots so far this year. That defense is just very sound in the back.
Very stout and very thick indeed.
And now Mitch Parr is down for the Thunder.
Mitch Parr went up to try to possess it with his feet off that goal kick from Lane. He fell hard to the turf. And that is not good news. He's clutching his right ankle and he appears to be in some serious pain.
Nick Lopez is in for the Maroons, replacing Sam Preston. And when he went airbound for that one, looked like he might have kicked the side of the Chicago Maroon he was going up against. Got that foot caught on it as he went by and then landed awkwardly. And he is in a lot of pain down on the turf.
Trisha Detter and now head coach Mike Giuliano come out to join Mitchell Parr, who was lying on his back, seeing to his ankle injury. Nick Lopez has played in all 4 games coming off the bench. He has 5 shots, no goals to show for it though, for the University of Chicago Maroons. There's about a timeout in the action. That's 24:09 remains in this first half, as Mitchell Parr now is going to get help off the field by Trisha and Coach Giuliano.
And he's not putting much weight, if any, on that right ankle, and it definitely looked to be the ankle of Mitchell Parr. As you're going to see Joey Lynn checking in now for the Thunder. This is a Thunder team that has a little bit of depth in the back, but you certainly hate to see anyone go down, especially the defender of the caliber of Mitchell Parr. You're also going to see Michael Choquette into the game for the Maroons.
And for the Thunder,
Choquette is another one of those sneaky stat stuffers, even though he's not a starter. He started in 2 games, played in 3 of them. He has 8 shots on goal, scored 3 points with a goal and an assist. So Choquette, definitely a significant contributor to this team. The Maroons will resume play with a throw-in near side. Pavlak tries to win the ball with a header. Going to the turf is Nick Lopez, who just entered the game. The Maroons will maintain possession. They throw in toward Lopez. Lopez plays back middle to Garrett Laird. Lopez now possesses once again. Goes with a right-footed pass. Weaver tries to get to it. It goes off his foot. Now Colt Martin giving chase deep in the box. Clears it away. It'll be out of bounds for a throw in deep in the Wheaton defensive third for the Maroons. And once again, possessed with shot opportunity.
And they're going to get a great opportunity after the missed touch there by, I think it was Hussey coming off the back line trying to get there.
Ball then comes toward the middle. A shot by Lopez just sails wide.
And they're going to give, it looks like they're going to give a corner kick to Chicago. The official is pointing towards the corner.
Or he was pointing toward the corner. However, maybe it was.
He is.
He is. Rusty called.
Everyone
first.
on the field was dropping back, but the official continued to point unless you're going to get an offsides or a foul. That's going to. Yeah, it looks like they're going to get. They must have had an offsides because Seeger's going to go all the way to the far corner to take the free kick.
Seeger takes the free kick deep in the corner, gets a right-footed boot into it, and it's a good one. High into the air, Chicago wins it out of the air. Martin checks it down, gets a right-footed boot, counters the attack. Ball at the feet of Clark. Clark tries to touch one on the goals along that far sideline. Now it's Weaver has it. Weaver's got Joey Lynn to his left if he wants him. Plays instead toward Blackman on the far right. Blackman getting shouldered off the ball, but the freshman still possesses. Goes into the right corner for Clark. Chance to maybe cross along that far sideline. Clark had it knocked away, though, and taken away by Stanton Coville.
I like to see the strength of the freshman Adam Blackman there. They're getting shouldered off the ball the entire time. Stays on it, holds possession, doesn't panic, makes the headsy play.
Coming up on 22 minutes remain, no score from Joe Bean. Chicago moving left to right. Shamlian had the ball at his feet. Bada got in front of it, but now Choquette has it. Choquette gets fronted and taken away by Pavlak. Slide tackle comes in about toward Pavlak. Gets it away, plays toward the far sideline to Blackman. Blackman tries to cross it in and gets through a couple men. A shot by Musgraves toward the goal that sails wide. Great cross though by Adam Blackman to give Musgraves the opportunity.
And that was all set up. Josh Clark looked to play Blackman one way, took a hesitation step that allowed Blackman to get right on the back line for the Maroons, and then played that ball through, which allowed Blackman to get all the way to the far side of the 18 extended. And he does send a nice cross, and he caught a break that the far side defender went down on the play, and that's by far the best opportunity the Thunder have had. And that's a tough ball for Musgraves, and kind of an in-between hop, has to go about waist high or so to get that kick swung around on. Just couldn't put it on target.
Foul is called off the goal kick. Falling to the ground is Dan Pavlak, and it goes against the Maroons. The free kick will come from Wheaton just in their side of the defensive half as the crowd continues to thicken a little bit in that student section as we get further along in this first half.
Just under 21 minutes here, still waiting for our first goal.
Lynn plays behind him to Musgraves, to Hussey. Hussey getting tracked down by Hollenkamp. Right side to Martin. Martinson playing far sideline to Josh Clark, trying to win the ball with his speed. He does get to it first, tries to cross in toward the middle, got denied at first. Now plays a ball in through to Drew Goals. Slide tackle is made at the top of the box and nicely done. Cleared away.
That was a nice play by the Thunder. You started to see almost an accordion-like look to this Chicago defense. If you play back, they're going to press up and try to get you in the right away to turn it over in your attacking third. In hockey, you call it the forecheck. That's kind of what they're doing there. But when you're coming towards the attacking third, that defense shrinks. So that time when they play it back, the entire defense stretches. Colt Martin plays the long ball, and they were actually 3-on-3 along the back line. And a nice, just enough of a touch away from Clark at the far side right at the beginning to allow two defenders to come back and help.
Wheaton possessing their defensive half. Martin tried to play a ball toward Clark, sailed out of bounds. Back and forth it goes. Clark tries to win one. Chicago still. Now here's Choquette. Choquette plays toward Shamlian, overshot him. Goals had it, defers to Musgraves. Musgraves walks over the ball, gets by a defender, plays up toward the right side, chasing it down is Josh Clark. He does get to it, touches one in toward the middle. No one's at home. Still at the top of the 6-yard box, but no white shirts are there. So the Maroons take their time to clear it out before Adam Blackman intercepts. He brings one back in toward the 18-yard box, touches, keeps it in play as he stumbles out. And as the flag is up for potential offsides, but it seemed like a foul was called.
I think you're going to get a foul right along the inline. He's trying to box off and he actually threw Blackman down. It's a great spot for a free kick. You're about 2 yards outside the 18, but it's also a terrible spot for a free kick because that line's going to be packed in so tight, and it's a little bit of a tough angle from there.
Extremely tough angle to try to chip it over the wall, or do you play to the top of the 18? They seem to be packing a lot of white shirts toward this top left corner of the 18.
This is a ball I expect to either be played negatively to Colt Martin out towards the corner of the 18, or you're going to play this far post towards the top of the 8 and try to use the height of Pavlak and Lynn.
They might play it as a mini corner. It's coming over as Weaver. Weaver slides one in toward the top, deflected away and cleared. Martin, though, keeps it in as he ricochets one back in toward the top of the 18, but the Maroons win the clear and it goes away.
I like it here by Seeger. Press up, keep your offense where they are, and then you're going to play it deep. Exactly what we talked about earlier. When you see the defense expand, you quickly play it deep, where the Thunder have actually pushed Musgraves up when Lynn came in. They almost look like they're going 3 across to match the 3 across for Chicago at the back.
Heads up play by Shamlin. He headed it away. Still out of bounds, though. Wheaton controls in their offensive half. Joey Lynn comes up from the defensive line to take it. Wheaton continues to offensively press. Good throw. Clark possessed at his feet. Ball is deflected away. Drew Goals trying to win one. Knocks off Choquette. Falls to the ground. But winning it is Lopez. Lopez plays up. Colt Martin got to it, but he deflected off with his right foot and out of bounds. It will be a Maroon throw-in just at the midfield stripe, moving left to right. Played back toward Lopez. Defense trying to get one toward Choquette. Weaver was there, dances his way around a man, plays toward Bada. Bada looking to play it toward the middle, but getting to it first was Masri. Masri back to Choquette. Choquette brings it across the midfield stripe, still dribbling with it. He might go, I'll try to get all the way. Dribbles around a man, that's Pavlak. Getting to it, though, is Hussey. Before it gets to Seeger, Hussey passes to Blackman.
Opportunity for a counterattack here. Just couldn't quite get it past Sanchez coming here on the back.
Lynn, though, touches with a foot, tries to get it toward Musgraves. Musgraves wins the ball. Touch toward Blackman, who's now playing on the opposite side of where he was earlier. Beautiful move to get by a defender. He plays along to the left corner, but Musgraves was unable to give chase. Shamlin keeps it in play in that deep left near side corner. Now a little bit of pressure from Musgraves. Shamlin plays along the near side. Up in the air goes Pavlak to win the ball. Goes right behind him, falls to the ground, tries to win another one. Hollenkamp is there first. Hollenkamp plays in toward the middle. Offsides position has been called. It'll be a free kick for the Thunder.
And they were actually playing advantage at the time, but once the advantage came down, they're going to give a free kick to the Maroons. Just about the top of the Thunder bench here. And
taking this free kick in toward the corner was going to be Sanchez Cummings, and instead he'll defer to Masri, a senior defender. 16-18 and counting. No score from Joe Bean. Coming into it is Masri. Gets a right foot into it. Plays in toward the top of the 18. Through the legs of his teammate. Weaver controls. Touches to Goals. Goals plays back to Lynn. Lynn tried to get a nice ball back in toward the middle, but is deflected away out of bounds. Wheaton will control with another throw-in as a couple substitutions come in.
It'll be Aaron Brown and John Gildersleeve coming on, and they're going to replace Bada and Colt Martin. Brown's a guy we haven't seen a lot of yet this year, but he'll give you some quality minutes, and he's going to take the far corner of the back line.
Brown played some quality minutes in the Capital University contest, as well as in the second game of the year against Loras. Blackman controls, far sideline, touches one up toward Clark, knocked away out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in still. The Wheaton offensive half. Blackman to take it.
Wheaton offensive possession has been better the last 10 minutes or so. They've taken their time trying to figure out the organization of the Chicago defense, but the last 10 minutes or so has been much better in their collective attack.
Blackman tries to sprint around the corner and change direction and go inside. Nothing was there, though. The Maroons do a 1-2 touch along the far sideline, kicked high into the air.
Flag goes up on the far sideline, so it'll be a Thunder throw in just under 15 minutes left. Still scoreless as we have to clear one ball before we can put the other one in play.
The other substitution, along with Aaron Brown, was the freshman John Gildersleeve, who Coach Giuliano told me along the bus ride home he was very impressed with for the young freshman Gildersleeve playing in his first match against Capital University last Saturday night. Lane scoops it up, has a drop kick at the top of the 18. Hussey gets to it, heads it high into the air toward Gildersleeve. Down to the turf it comes. The Maroons possess, try to touch along the far sideline, out of bounds. Aaron Brown will take a throw-in. We'll have a couple more substitutions.
And it'll be Ellen Peekna for the Maroons, and for the Thunder, it'll be Brendan Finnerty. Finnerty got his first goal on the road trip over the weekend. He's going to replace Josh Clark. Coming off the game, the field for the Maroons is going to be number 24, Kyle Kerfurst.
Peekna started half of the 4 games for the Maroons. He scored twice and has 2 assists, so he's definitely a point scorer for the Chicago club. Just more manifestations of their depth. The Thunder will take a throw-in. Blackman tries to throw up to the newly substituted Finnerty. Cleared away by the Maroon defense, however, by Alexis Onfroy.
I like the substitution by Coach Giuliano there. Get some fresh legs at the top of the formation. They're trying to send those balls into space at the top, so you've got to get the legs to run it down. I wouldn't be surprised if Chad Musgraves doesn't get a breather. Try to give him an extended halftime break heading into the second half.
Very good idea. Pallet controls in the Wheaton defensive half. Touches toward Aaron Brown. Brown defers to Hussey. Hussey back to Brown, who will play back to Ryan Seeger. Seeger comes right side Aaron Brown again. Playing in that position that Cole Martin was just at a moment ago. Cleared away in toward the top of the 18. With the left foot comes Hussey. In toward the middle circle. Finnerty trying to win the header, but winning instead is Masri. Now touching the ball at his feet is Alan Pinkney, who just came in. Falling to the turf is Finnerty. Foul is called. Wheaton will have a free kick. Just in their offensive half in the middle circle.
And they've been letting them play here in the first half. Hasn't gotten out of hand. I mean, you do see a lot of grabbing and pushing like you would in any match, but so far the officials got about the right control of this one. You let them play a little bit. Nothing's gotten too out of hand as we saw it get in that Loris game.
Ball played in toward the top of the 18, headed away by the Maroon defense, though. Is Onfroy again. Deflected off Finnerty, out of bounds, or Gildersleeve rather. The Maroons will take a throw-in. Just on their side of the midfield stripe. 12.5 minutes in, counting in the first half. Still no score from Joe Bean Stadium. Rusty Lindsay, Judah Newby alongside. On WETN 88.1 FM and WETN TV. Glad you could join us. Touched in toward the middle circle for the Maroons. Musgraves brings some defensive pressure. Gets to the feet of Lane. Touched in toward the left side and over the end line. It'll be a goal kick for Alec Lane.
Starting to see the Thunder almost concentrating a little bit too much on those balls into space as they're really sending a lot of them out there. Subs for the Thunder now, Steven Russo checking in, as well as Jacques Nattori.
The freshman Jacques Nattori played in a couple games over the weekend and last weekend as well.
Sure enough, Musgraves and Pavlak going to be the two coming off for the Thunder, so they're going to get about the last 11 and a half out. Try to get an extended halftime.
High ball gets won by Brown. Back in toward the middle circle. Weaver touches with a chest, taken by Chiquette though. Jason Lane gets one into it. Touch away. Playing along into the right side corner. Here comes an opportunity for Nick Lopez if he can get to it. Shouldered off. Nicely done by Joey Lynn.
And Lynn tried to play it out, but I'm not sure he got enough to send it all the way out before the flag. So this is going to end up being a corner for the Maroons.
It'll be the first corner kick of the night. And it'll come for University of Chicago.
And down to take it's going to be Garrett Laird. He's going to send a left foot in.
Left foot in swinger.
See if the Thunder can really attack out of this if they can get a misplaced ball.
Strong header played back in towards the direction of the man who took that. That was Shamlian. It'll be out of bounds for the Thunder. The Taratori takes it. Touch toward Lynn. Back to the Taratori. Tori tries to do some one-man touch to try to win possession. Out of bounds it goes. Wheaton will still maintain possession in their defensive half for a throw-in. Joey Lynn will take it. The sophomore playing in his first year of soccer. He's also a swimmer, the dual athlete. Throws it in toward Brandon Finnerty. Chiquette, though, is there to take it for the University of Chicago. Ball played in toward the middle. Taken away nicely by Aaron Brown. Tried to play another one into space. Goals was in the vicinity, but was unable to have any momentum speed-wise. Into the arms of Elick Lane.
Yeah, good step by Aaron Brown. Saw that play as it unfolded and then was quicker to step to the ball. As we go under 10 minutes left here in the first half, we are scoreless. This game's been locked in the middle third of the field.
It sure has, Russ. Ball playing alongside to Chiquette. Chiquette had it. Hussey trying to clear, gets it off the arm of Chiquette, out of bounds. Joey Lynn throws it in. Drew Goals tries to win it with a header. Instead, it goes played back along the left side. Garrett Laird. Laird with the ball at his feet for Chicago. Plays one in towards space. Russo's there with a header. Gets deflected away by Weaver. Russo tries to win a ball. He does. Gets to Hussey. Hussey changes direction and decides to give to Weaver. Or Seeger, rather. Seeger facing some defensive pressure with Hollenkamp. Clears it away right side, just over the midfield stripe. Toward Goals. Goals tried to angle a pass with his chest, but the Maroons were there first. Boy, that defensive line for Chicago is strong. Wheaton will have a throw-in just in their defensive half. Taking it from that side, looks like it's Brown. Play along toward Gildersleeve. Gildersleeve tries to keep it in play, is unable to do so. Along that far sideline, now Chicago counters with a throw into their own. Out of bounds it goes, still maintained by the University of Chicago. 8:48 and counting, first half, no score.
The way these two teams have battled back and forth in the middle of the field, a breakthrough in the last 10 minutes would be a lot of momentum heading into halftime.
It is definitely premium scoring time for both sides. As far as momentum's concerned, Blackman tries to touch one in, flag goes up. It'll go back for the University of Chicago.
So again, that's a good ball, and you're seeing the speed being shown by the freshman Adam Blackman on the far sideline. Blackman's probably going to need a breather before all is said and done here by the end of the first half in the last 8:15.
Wheaton's only maintained one shot, and that was by Chad Musgraves on a cross by Blackman earlier in the game. It's not a shot on goal, though. As you mentioned, Elick Lane, only 2 saves on the year for the freshman. Not really challenged thanks to his strong defense. Wheaton controls. It comes into the middle circle to Finnerty. Finnerty changes direction, moves left to right to left rather, tries to make a left-handed or left-footed pass to Drew Goals. Maroons get there first once again. Touched away though by Blackman. Blackman controls with the left-footed. Try to get one toward Goals again. Boy, a lot of attention played on Drew Goals offensively. Chiquette now with the ball at his feet. He dribbles across the midfield stripe. Plays a nice ball in toward the streaking Stephen Chase. Chase crosses one in toward the middle. Lynn gets there with the right foot. Eye into the air goes. Won by a header by Sanchez. Comes left side. Left foot from Masri into the top of the 18 box. Cleared away. Sanchez tries to win it with a header again. Plays it behind him. Played up by Masri. First one there, though, is going to be Ryan Seeger. No Maroons at home. Coming up on 7 minutes and counting, first half. Seeger booms one toward Goals. Header, though, taken at the top by Lopez. Into the middle it goes. Weaver brings it out of the circle to Joy Lynn. Lynn sprints by one man. Gets it toward Finnerty. Finnerty touches behind him to Gildersleeve. Gildersleeve plays back to Brown. This second unit for the Thunder is trying to put them on the board first, and what a huge goal that would be for either side. Whoever second unit can break. Touched in toward the midfield stripe. Bringing it left to right. Taking it with the ball at his feet. Pinknut. Pinknut rolls along right side. Sanchez. Sanchez gets by Lynn. Plays it in toward the middle. Hussey cuts him off, though. Lets it travel over the end line. It'll be a Ryan Seeger goal kick.
So Nick Codaspodi will check in for the Maroons with 6:20 to play. Both teams searching for that first goal. Stay tuned with us at the half. We will have a Thunder Sports Report for you as we send it back to Wuhao Phelps in the studio. That'll be coming your way in about 6 minutes.
Seeger takes the goal kick. High into the middle circle it goes. Goals plays the ball at his feet. First time he's actually had possession in a while. However, the Maroons are there to take it away from him as he's looked to try to pass it up. Now Weaver putting chest on Pinkney. Masri clears away with a right-footed boom. Nice ball in toward the top left corner of the 18-yard box. Brown gets shoved down at the top of the box, and it's a foul call against Chicago. Will go the other way.
It's a nice job by Aaron Brown. Got on the back, or got the defender on his back, excuse me, and then just the defender ended up riding him too far, and that's where the foul came from.
Seeger, another goal kick toward the direction of Goals. Tries to flick it on with a back header. Finnerty gives chase. Maroon defense was there. The Maroon defense have really positioned themselves well, getting to those attempted through balls first. Ball play along far side. Still haven't seen anything of Matt Vaquito since his injury in the middle portions of the first half. Natara Torrey clears toward Finnerty. Finnerty touches away toward Weaver. Weaver plays back toward the middle circle. Attempted tackle is made. Now Chiquito intercepts from Weaver. Chiquito plays the ball. Touched by Gildersleeve. Finnerty trying to get to it. Weaver possesses, going right to left for the Thunder. Weaver, a left-footed pass in toward Drew Goals. He is in perfect position. Gets it in toward the top right corner of the 18-yard box. Still maintained, but gets cut off. Still with the ball now is Blackman. Blackman sprints around one man, falls to the turf. No whistles blown. Who travels over the end line. Boy, there have been multiple foul opportunities to be called from the head referee, but none have been called up to this point as Blackman fell to the turf inside the box.
So Christian Rosenberger will take the spot of Drew Golds at the top here. Drew's going to get an extra 4:30 to his halftime.
The typical substitution path of Mike Giuliano to give Goals an extra halftime break. He's replaced by Rosenberger, who had an excellent tournament, according to both assistant coach Carl Riffin and Mike Giuliano. Ball played in toward the middle circle. Lynn tries to touch it away. Getting to it and changing direction is Sanchez. Sanchez getting elbowed by Nataratori. Back and forth. Gildersleeve trying to touch, but it goes right to Chiquito. Chiquito plays a great ball to Hollenkamp, but it's rolled into the arms of Ryan Seeger. Boy, that was close.
And again, sloppy play at the back for the Thunder. You don't typically see those poor touches.
Those are important touches as well, because Chicago is a team that can make you pay for those. Wheaton controlling at the midfield stripe is Finnerty. 3:35 and counting, first half, no score. Finnerty gets cut off. Played along the back toward Elick Lane. Rosenberger giving chase on Lane. Forces him to kick it away. Headed by Russo. Back into the Wheaton offensive half. But right there is Masri. Masri plays one up toward Pinckney. Pinckney gets it away towards Sanchez. Rosenberger fronts him up. Gets it off Sanchez, out of bounds. And another substitute for the Thunder.
So Connor Rice going to replace Tatori.
Rice was going to take a throw. Defers to Joey Lynn instead. Lynn brings one to the cutting Gildersleeve. Lynn touches along the near sideline, out of bounds off the Maroons. We'll do it all over again.
Just under 3 minutes left here in the first half.
Weaver tries to curl a pass in toward Rosenberger at the top. Cleared away, though, at the top by Masri. Gildersleeve trying to win a ball in the air. Comes back toward Gildersleeve. A little touch, but it's won by the Maroons. Into the middle circle they go. Here comes the counter attack. Taken by Peekno. Plays near side left. Or far side left, rather, to Coville. Haven't called Coville's name a lot yet since he's come in, but he is a shot leader. Played in toward the top of the 18 box. Is Pinknut getting fronted by the Thunder defense. Aaron Brown trying to win that ball. No whistles blown as bodies fall to the turf. Now a whistle finally does blow. It'll be a foul against the Maroons. And we will take a free kick. Tried to take it quickly was Aaron Brown, but the head referee brings it back and makes him play another. 2 minutes remain in the first half, no score. The final offensive searchers for both sides are coming in the next 120 seconds. Brown plays the ball along the right side toward Christian Rosenberger. Rosenberger possesses along the far sideline, tries to keep it in play, is able to do so. Rather dribbles it away and over the end line for a goal kick.
Yeah, you see what the coaches really like about Christian Rosenberger. He's a guy who knows he's going to have limited minutes, so he's going to empty the tank while he's out there. But he's going to play some crucial minutes. As those minutes when Drew Goltz is out, you've still got to have someone to possess, to look and direct that offense the same way Drew does. And Christian's a senior who has that experience and ability to do so.
The Thunder take the cleared away kick by the Maroon defense back in their defensive half. Hussey touches to Brown, back to Hussey. Hollenkamp chasing down Hussey. Brown touches one in toward the middle, toward Gildersleeve's area. Plays it back to Hussey as they buy time with 1:10 remaining. Along the far sideline, Hussey brings it over the midfield stripe, but it's right into the legs of Maroons. Bringing out is Offrey. Touching in toward the middle.
1 minute remaining in the first half.
The 1 minute warning has gone. Blackman still with it. Blackman touches away, gets knocked, but Weaver now controls. Weaver knocks it away off a Maroon leg and out of bounds. It'll be, I thought it would be a Thunder throw, but rather it's going to go back to the Maroons. 40 seconds and counting. They throw it in, headed away by Steven Russo toward the direction of Rosenberger. Falls to the turf. The Maroons still control. Offrey gets one in, a left-footed ball along the far sideline, cleared away by Hussey. Hollenkamp gets there, tries to touch one up. Russo shields off his man.
One last surge here with 20 seconds left. Thunder are going to have to just dump the ball in and see what happens.
Lynn touches one over the midfield stripe toward Finnerty. Finnerty Gildersleeve with his eyes up. Plays one toward Lynn. 10 seconds remain. Lynn tries to get one toward Rosenberger. Rosenberger, good idea to flick on a header and toward the top of the 18 box. Adam Blackman gives last-minute chase. Gets cleared away by Alexis Onfoy. And the halftime horn sounds. Rusty in a first half that not necessarily really dominated the stat sheet by any means for either side. Chicago, though, had a little bit more offensive momentum in the first part of that first half. Wheaton answered back a little bit better with its second unit. However, we're still scoreless after one half of play.
Yeah.
Chicago. A reminder that coming up on Saturday night, the Wheaton College football team 1-0 on the young season goes to University of Wisconsin-Platteville. Rusty, you'll be on the call for that. up in Platteville, Wisconsin, a 7 p.m. time start.
And you're definitely going to want us to join us. Any fans of offense to that game, there's going to be a lot of it. This is a talented up-and-coming Platteville team playing at home in a night game against the Thunder. They gave the Thunder a game for a half here at McCauley Stadium last year. I would look for them to give the Thunder a game all the way through in what will be their third game of the season.
Clark touches the ball toward the direction of Musgraves to open up the second frame. Back and forth it goes. It went out of bounds for Maroons throwing. Now it's controlled near the top by the Maroon defense, clearing it away. Playing toward the midfield stripe. Pavlak intercepts. Back and forth it goes. Pavlak trying to fight for possession. Very physical defense. Pavlak gets fronted by 3 defenders for Maroons. Chicago wins it over the midfield stripe. Nice ball played in toward the right corner. Chasing it down as Alan Pinkney, who came into the game late in that second half. Crossed the ball in toward the top of the 18 box. Cleared away with the right foot.
And there again, the Thunder really had an opportunity to come back the other way, but just a rushed pass. As having some time for that touch was Blackman. And then Musgraves couldn't control the pass as he got a little lazy with the touch there. As he draws the foul, though, Thunder really had an opportunity to set up the counterattack there.
They did indeed. You made a point, Rusty, in that first half. The middle field possession by the Thunder was very lacking of supreme possession in the middle field. Hopefully they'll be able to improve that here in the second half. Ball's thrown in by the Maroons. Martin goes a high kick for it. Touched off a Maroon offensive player, and out of bounds will be a Thunder throw-in. Pavlak to take it. Touch to Blackman. Nope, they're going to change their minds. It'll be a throw-in for University of Chicago in their offensive half. Makito has it. He is indeed into the game after his first half injury. He knocks it off the foot of Pavlak out of bounds. Just over a minute and a half into the second half, still no score.
Good to see the freshman Vakito back into the game, as we weren't really, you didn't really see anything go wrong. All of a sudden, he just fell to the turf, right behind where the free kick was happening.
Onfoy tries to curl one with his left foot into the top of the 6-yard box. Seager comes out to clear. Seager really undercuts this drop kick. Retrieved now at the foot of Blackman. Blackman touches right side to Josh Clark. Clark trying to play one in toward the middle of the goals. Overshot him just a bit. Coming over to take it is Elick Lane.
And that's the ball you really want. You want somebody rushing towards the goal. They're really trying to get the balls fanned out to the corners. You want to try to get something moving in towards the goal where they don't have the ability to set up help from the other side.
Weaver tries to win this ball high in the air. Instead, it's played at the feet now of Josh Clark. Gets denied by Onfoy. Taking it now, moving right to left, comes the University of Chicago. Pavlak sizes it up, though. Intercepts nicely. Touches to Blackman, who goes behind. Building back to front to Hussey. Hussey to Weaver. Weaver plays back to Matt. Comes near side, Colt Martin. Martin tries to play one up toward Drew Goals in the midfield stripe. He touches one on his feet to Josh Clark. Clark tried to pooch one over the defense toward Goals. He's called for shoving in the back. On Alexis Onfroy draws the foul, and a free kick will come in the defensive half for University of Chicago.
I like that they're giving Drew Goals opportunities to make plays, though. He's a big part of your offense. He's the big man up front. Keep giving him an opportunity to make a play.
Lane drops the free kick in toward Onfroy. Touches it behind him to Makito. Makito comes in toward the middle. Shamlian works it around Blackman. Shamlian touches it up toward Pigna. Pigna tries to punch in a ball toward the 18-yard stripe, rather. Seager comes out of his box to retrieve it. No harm there. Seager drops for a drop kick. Headed high into the air by Shamlon. A couple headers exchanged between the two sides. Clark gets there to deflect one. It's still in the Wheaton offensive half. Musgraves now controls with the ball at his feet. Changes high into direction with a high looping pass toward Martin. Martin tries to loop one toward Blackman, but instead Onfroy is there. Onfroy gains possession and simply drops back to Lane, who gets a left-footed boot into it. Pass it up toward the field, but Blackman is there to retrieve. Blackman looking to change direction, tries to work around Onfoy. Onfoy shoves him out of the way. Off the foot of Onfoy will be a Wheaton corner.
And here's a good opportunity for the Thunder. They showed their ability to convert corner kick opportunities over the weekend, converting a pair of them for goals. So they're really going to have it. Corners are gold in this game when you don't really have scoring chances.
Looks like they'll try to run a two-touch play between Weaver and Blackman.
Corey's been accurate coming off this second touch.
Weaver to Blackman. Corey comes in with it, high into the air. The whistle blows, though, first. Offside position. And it'll be a free kick now for Lane.
And that's a waste when you get caught for the offside. Chicago just jumped at as soon as they touched it.
Lane takes the free kick.
As Coach Giuliano tips the cap to head coach Scott Wierczynski, where he saw that one coming.
Now
and
Onfroy.
The chess match will go back and forth between coaches, as it usually does.
No doubt about that. Coaches definitely do their homework at this level of competition. Now the lead referee coming over to talk to Stanton Colville as Alec Onfroy fell to the turf for a brief moment on his hands and knees, but he seems to be just fine. And taking the free kick now for UChicago is Rashad Masri, senior defender.
Onfroy hobbling a little bit, though. Seems to be favoring the left ankle. And he's going to be real slow to get up to full speed, so Thunder may want to look to attack to the near side. We're going to get a foul against Chicago, slowing up Josh Clark.
Clark looks to take the free kick quickly, however whistles blow. And they bring it back about 5 yards.
But a good opportunity here for the Thunder.
They might try to run a set play. So they run about 4 white shirts to the top right corner. Clark raises his arm. He's about to approach. Makito gets out of the way. Clark booms one in toward the top of the box. Pavlak goes high in the air with a header. Headed it toward the through. Musgraves gives chase, but he's unable to get there. Back and forth and cleared away by the Maroons.
Resolute in the defense once again.
Resolute indeed. Throw-in comes from Martin toward the far side. Punch back over the midfield stripe. Goals heads it on, or Pavlak rather. Now cleared away with the right foot of Sanchez. Out of bounds will be a Thunder throw. Still playing along that far side. Just over 6.5 minutes into the second half rather. No score entering the 52nd minute at Joe Bean.
Doing a much better job this half are the Thunder, putting offensive pressure on the Maroons.
Goals chops one with his right foot toward the ground. Chicago, though, takes it away. Bringing it up is now Cavito. Plays it now to the near side, giving chase is Colville. Colville deep in the left corner. Touches one up toward Pinknut, but Blackman touches nicely away. Blackman turns with the right foot, trying to clear away, but now trapped at the feet of Alexis Onfroy. Onfroy getting it back to Colville, but Blackman intercepts first, touches one up to Josh Clark. Onfroy still giving chase on Clark, shoulders him off, but Clark works around him. Clark is shoved to the turf, and a foul card against Garrett Laird.
Yep, he's reaching to the. You're going to have a yellow flag, or excuse me, yellow card is going to be assessed to Garrett Laird.
And Garrett Laird is definitely called for arguing with the referee, and in a little bit of an animated discussion calling between now the head referee, the lead official, and Scott Wierczynski, as the yellow card has officially been awarded to Onfroy, or excuse me, Laird.
He's going to have to make sure he documents that as well.
As play slows up for a bit here, but nonetheless, it's a very solid opportunity for the Thunder, taking it just on their offensive half. Matt Hussey looks to take it. The lead official now comes over to make a personal talk with Scott Wierczynski. No score, 37-25 remaining in the second half.
And the official making sure he clears up the call with the Chicago bench. Again, it's Garrett Laird who's the one who draws the yellow with the hip check on Josh Clark. That's one of those fouls where Clark had the step and they had the advantage following. So tactically, it's a good call here.
Hussey booms one in toward the top left. It gets headed away by the Maroons. Cameron goes up for it, trying to make a play. Colt Martin got to it, but he shouldered off a man, and he's called for a foul. And it'll be a free kick coming for UChicago. Still more the same from the first half that we've seen in this second half, Russ.
Yeah, the Thunder doing a little bit better job, though, possessing towards the attacking third. Much more of this game being played on the Chicago side of the field following halftime. Whereas in the first half, they were really possessing more into their attacking third. Now they're kind of pinned on their heels in their defensive third a little bit more than they were in the first half. It's not dominant either way, but the Thunder are kind of swinging the balance back their way.
Chicago controls in their defensive half, taken away by Kammer. Kammer touches toward Blackman. Blackman dribbles his way through a crowd, but now it gets intercepted by Pinknut. Pinknut shoulders off. Blackman trying to get it back. Blackman got his foot in front of a potential pass in toward the middle. Shamlian still controls now for the Maroons. Plays near side. A left-footed pass in toward the middle. Nicely done, shouldered in toward the middle. It comes Vaquette, and it gets cleared away at the last moment. Still staying in play now, rather. A head ball comes by Pavlak. Martin tries to clear. It gets deflected by Vaquito down to the ground. It'll be a throw-in coming for Chicago. They still have it deep in the defensive half of Wheaton. Falling to the ground is Vaquito, headed away. Out over the end line. It'll be a goal kick for Seeger.
And Vaquito just lowered the shoulder a little bit, running on towards the ball and spilled Hussey. Chicago with a very real opportunity there. The Thunder not well organized.
Foul was called on Vaquito for lowering that shoulder. High ball into the air. Touching it down and winning it was Coville. Now the Maroons possess over the midfield stripe. Played in toward the middle. Musgraves chasing it down. Intercepted by Mitchell Parr. Nicely done. He dribbles across the midfield stripe. He's got Musgraves to his left if he wants him.
Parr doing a nice job taking ground all the way to the corner. And he's going to win him a deep throw-in. Nice job by Mitchell Parr all the way from the back. Take ground, keep taking ground until they make you stop. That's what Chicago wasn't doing in the first half. They were giving up and are going to get the opportunity as Parr disappears up the ramp in the far corner to try to get a very aggressive throw.
Here comes Parr's throw, high and in toward the 6-yard box. It's still loose in toward the middle. Trying to get there is Blackman. He does. He rolls one toward Colt Martin in the Wheaton offensive half. Martin punches one back toward the 18-yard box, headed away, cleared by the Chicago defense. Hussey now plays far sideline toward Parr, but he missed him, and it rolls over the out-of-bounds line for a throw-in for Chicago.
Tell you what, having a guy that can throw a ball that deep when you're coming in essentially at the top of the 8, and you get that all the way past the near post, that's an extremely powerful weapon for any team.
Chasing a ball down in toward the corner, getting by a man is Vaquito. Vaquito is getting in toward, tries to cross one on the ground. No one's at home, thankfully for the Thunder. Blackman with the ball at his feet, clears toward Musgraves. Coming back on it is Shamlian, but it comes to the foot of Blackman, and he clears away. Boy, Vaquito had a nice look. Tried to cross one along the ground, but none of his teammates were at home. Trying to chase one down, rather shot Clark. Over the out-of-bounds line it goes. The Maroons take a throw-in. Coming on is Drew Goals. Drew Goals intercepts as he tries to get back in toward the 18-yard box. Cleared away. Goals, boy, relentless on the offensive attack.
The speed of these front couple for the Thunder really starting to play a role. As Onfray there kept looking over his shoulder for Josh Clark, who was streaking onto the scene. And then Drew Golds comes out of nowhere to make that steal and set up an opportunity. 33:50 left in this one, awaiting our first goal.
Colt Martin takes a throw-in in the Wheaton offensive third. Throws to Clark. Clark tries to push one in toward the middle of the 18 box. High into the air goes Weaver to get one in toward the middle, but it's cleared away by the defense. High into the air, takes one bounce just on the Wheaton side of midfield. Out of bounds, almost. Yes, it is, and it'll be a Thunder throw-in from there. Colt Martin will take it. Looks up, finds Clark. Clark tried to go back to Martin, missed him, but poorly, though. Out of bounds to the Maroons. Maroons play it back along the midfield stripe. High into the air, Vaquito is there trying to win a header, but Pavlak does instead. Weaver, the ball at his feet, in toward the middle. Clears high into the left side. Goals giving chase. Getting to it first, though, is Masri. Punches it back toward his keeper, Elick Lane, who scoops it up. He'll bounce it a few times before getting into it with a true drop kick. The ball hits the turf briefly before he gets a right foot into it. Over the midfield stripe at goals, Martin wins a header. At the feet of Blackman, tried to trap, unable to do so. Martin still, though, has the ball at his feet, knocked away out of bounds by Alan Pickna. Martin will take a throw-in, just shy of midfield stripe. Tosses it over, tries to get into the direction of Josh Clark. Clark nearly got to it. Defender clears it away first in the direction of Vaquito. Parr gets there. Heads one toward Martin. Martin gets a left foot. Midfield stripe. Taken away by Shamlian. Shamlian plays toward Pickna. Pickna to Chiquito. Chiquito plays one in toward the top of the 18, but Martin is there. Gets it toward Blackman. Blackman, a long ball toward Drew Goals. He's still on sides, but it gets to the arms of Lane first before Goals was able to reach it at the top of the 18.
That's the counterattack the Thunder have been waiting for. Just a little bit too far for Drew, but you get him into space running against that back line, and he's starting to win those battles.
Good idea from the freshman Blackman to try to hit the senior Goals. Parr heads one high into the air. The Maroons try to win that. Pavlak, though, gets to it. Weaver touches with the chest. Plays behind him to Colt Martin. Martin feeling some pressure. Now booms it across the midfield stripe. The only one's there, though, is Sam Preston.
And that's the situation there where just the pressure the Thunder have been putting on the Maroons forced him to play negative back to the keeper, even though they had all the time in the world to turn and play ahead.
Okay, comes all over the midfield stripe. Pavlak heads it away. Back and forth it goes. Parr touches to Musgraves. Musgraves trying to square up his man. Musgraves still dribbling around circle. Now plays middle circle to Ryan Cammert. Cammert, a right-footed chip toward Blackman. Blackman chesses to himself. But getting to it first is Onfoy. Blackman nearly took it away from Onfoy. Slides. Onfoy still possesses. Plays now into the middle. Back and forth it goes and cleared away by Mitchell Parr. Coming down the near sideline. Out of bounds it goes. It'll be a Maroon throw-in, and we'll have our first substitute in the second half.
Number 24,
And you're going to see Kyle Kerfurst return for Chicago. He will give a breather to Peekma. Peekma giving him some very good minutes there through the first half, and another 15 good ones into the second half as we count down towards the 30-minute mark remaining. Still no score here at Joe Bean.
Plavak plays one toward Hussey. Vakito giving serious pressure. Hussey's clear, though. No one's at home. Masri will be the first one to get it unless he lets it roll out of bounds. He does do that indeed. It'll be a Maroon throw in their defensive half. Just over a half hour remaining in this contest, no score. Masri takes the throw. Tries to work it far side toward Kyle Kerfurst. Goes out of bounds off a Wheaton foot. Kerfurst now touches the new inbounds pass. Cleared away, though, at the top. Musgraves is in that vicinity. Touched away, though, by Sanchez at the foot of Choquette. Choquette plays in. Ball is punched in toward the middle. Hussey's there with the left foot. Tries to win it on a header. Offsides is called against Chicago.
You're going to get a foul against Chicago for undercutting the man in the air. As Hussey went up to try to win the header after the mistouch and got undercut by the Maroon attacker.
Seeger comes out of his box to take this free kick. Gets the right foot into it. Over the next guy it goes. Header up in the air, won by Chamleon. Chiquette touches with a header back to Masri. Masri right footer, punches along the left side looking for Vakito. Pavlak, though, gets to it first. Trying to make a play on it was Josh Clark. The Thunder still control as they bring it across the midfield. Weaver has a trio of Maroons there. Tries to play a left-footed through ball in toward the corner. Musgraves chasing it down over the end line. Goal kick.
And Christian Rosenberg are going to come in and give Adam Blackman a breather. Blackman's been very impressive in this game. A lot of times you get into these very defensive games with tight defenses and there's not a lot of space to move. Freshmen playing, early in the year, sometimes just try to do too much, and Blackman's been very impressive. He's taken what the defense has given him. He's shown speed into the space. It's been a very nice weapon for the Thunder up front.
Definitely showing off that speed and that effective speed at that. Header one in the air by Goals. Goals tries to flick one on to Clark. Clark tries to win it at the top. He works around a man. He's trying to split it over the team. A left foot shot in toward the goal. It gets deflected and over into the side netting.
Steven Russo going to check in for Pavlak. That's just a tremendous individual effort by Josh Clark. As Lane, not really sure. He had Rosenberger streaking towards the back post. He had help at the back post, so Lane comes out towards the ball, takes away the shooting angle, and Clark might have rushed it a little bit as he was running out of the angle.
But indeed, a tremendous individual effort as Lane will take this goal kick. Top right corner of the 6 yard. Gets a foot into it. Headed away. Back and forth it goes. They exchange headers. Russo takes a third. Touchdown by Clark. Tries to get one toward Rosenberger. Goals is there. Tries an immediate shot at the top of the 18. Had an opportunity to perhaps dribble a little bit into the box, and he came out well wide.
Sawyer Kiskin going to check in for the Maroons. That's a situation where the goalie's going to wait to see what you do. That's one where if you're Drew or anybody really, you don't mind that first touch strike because you don't try to settle. The goalie's going to expect you to try to settle and put something on. Sometimes you get that first touch, even though he had Rosenberger to his outside, get that first touch right on goal, you can take him by surprise.
Lane takes the goal kick all over again. Right footer. Going to be one in the air. Cameron and Rosenberger going up for it. Rosenberger got to it. Headed away by Onfrey. Out of play. Maroons will have a throw-in. They're about the midfield stripe, but not before a substitution comes in.
Sam Preston going to re-enter. He started for the Maroons.
22, Sam Preston.
And he will replace number 13, Nick Lopez.
Lopez gave some solid minutes during the end of the first half and in this first portion of the second half. Onfrey takes the throw-in, gets it toward Makito. Makito touches back to Onfrey. Onfrey plays to Choquette. Choquette tries to change field direction and goes far sideline. However, no one's at home and will go out of play. Thunder will have a throw-in. Coming over to take it is Mitchell Parr. 26 and a half and counting. No score from Joe Bean, second half. Ryan Cameron tries to win that ball in toward the middle. Cameron giving some solid minutes at the beginning of the second half. Now dribbling all the way, going right to left, making a nice pass in toward Makito. Makito, a long cross in toward the 6-yard box, but it goes through and over the end line for a goal kick.
Tell you what, we talked at the top of the broadcast a lot about the depth of this Chicago team, and Michael Chiquette's really been the difference in the middle of the field, number 10 for the Maroons. He's been a guy that's really captained their offense. He's made sure guys are in the right spot. He's around the ball well upfield. We haven't actually called a lot of their leading scorers. Stanton Colville, who we talked about being a big asset for them, he's almost been non-existent for the Maroons, but Chiquette's done a great job possessing and distributing for the Maroons.
Foul called against the Thunder. It'll be a Maroon free kick just on their side of the midfield stripe. Preston gets one in toward Chiquette, tried to flick it onto the header. Good idea, but no one was there. Over the end line it goes. Seager will take another goal kick. 25.5 minutes remain in this match of regulation, rather. No score. Seager gets a right foot into it. Over the midfield stripe. Winning that is Clark. Flicks it on toward Musgraves. Maroons intercept, but Weaver has the ball at his left foot. Flicked on toward the 6-yard box and taken out of the air by Lane.
Thunder doing a much better job here in the second half, spacing and attacking in lanes. A lot of times you saw more than one guy, probably within 5 yards of each other. That time you saw two going to the far side of the box, and then Clark and Rosenberger running parallel about 5 yards apart towards the near post side. Doing a much better job once Weaver possessed. He had options there depending on what depth he played the ball, and that's really what you want when you're attacking like that. You want to give the defense multiple guys to cover.
Cameron touches one toward goals, who plays right side to Rosenberger. Rosenberger at the top of the 18 plays one toward the middle, gets cleared away, in toward the middle. Goals goes high into the air to try to kick it away in an off-beat ball. Cleared off, though, by the defense into the direction of Matt Hussey in the Wheaton defensive half.
That's a beautiful ball by Rosenberger. He knows he's got help coming on the backside. Get it in and see what happens. That's exactly what he did.
Martin gets away from a man, tried to go toward Hussey. It was away from Hussey, though. Seager cleans it up, punches it out. Clark flicks on a header in the direction of Goals. Goals trying to split a double team to get there. Hit high into the air by the defense. At the top of the 6, Goals giving chase, but Lane is there. Out of the 18, snares it. He'll take it for another drop kick.
This is the part of the game where Drew Golds becomes an increased weapon for you because he's in top shape, and you see him still streaking after those balls, but he's physically wearing down the back line of Chicago.
Chiquette with the attack. Play toward the top left corner of the box. Here's Kiskin. Sawyer Kiskin working one-on-one with Colt Martin. Cross one in on the ground. Getting in front of it, though, is Russo. Russo clears to Rosenberger, and Wheaton avoids it. Nice defense from Steven Russo.
Russo's a guy with a lot of game experience coming back for his sophomore year. Gives you a little bit of a veteran coming off your bench there. It's exactly what you saw. As now checking in for Chicago is going to be Stephen Chase.
Entering for the Maroons, number 15, Stephen Chase.
Chase comes into the game a little bit after Kiskin tried to play a ball in toward the 18, but well away from Matt Vecchito.
Inside 23 minutes to go here in regulation from Joe Bean Stadium. We are scoreless between the University of Chicago Maroons and your 21-ranked Wheaton College Thunder.
Michael Chiquette now takes a brief rest on the bench. Chase newly enters the game, puts a nice ball in for Vecchito. Hussey tries to cut him off. He does and clears it away, but an effective ball. This will be a deep offensive throw-in for the Maroons.
Caught Hussey a little bit in between, rather to cut it off and play it back to the keeper for a play away, or just play it out of bounds.
Onfrey to take the throw. Comes behind him. Touched back to Onfrey. Onfrey splits a double. Plays in toward the top of the 18. Ball goes high into the air. Seager comes out of his box, touches away with two hands, and a foul is called against the Chicago Maroons. Ryan talking toward the man who committed the foul, Kyle Kerr, first. Coach Giuliano says, let him go, let him play, don't worry about it. Colt Martin, the ball at his feet.
Well, miscommunication there.
No one at home.
No, Golds is going to force a turnover, and Jason Bada is going to return. Now, Bada's a guy who started this game for the Thunder, gave him a big body in the middle of the field. You can, he's going to replace Kammer, but with Bada, if you can set up a set piece, he's your target because he's a big body in the middle of this formation for the Thunder.
Throwing came deep in toward The 18 headed away. He'll be out of bounds. Maroons will take a throw in their defensive half. Cameron took a seat as Bada came back into the game. On free. Touches one in toward the middle. Martin intercepts. Weaver the ball at his feet. Knocked away out of bounds by Kyle Kerfurst. And they'll go to the Maroons with a throw-in. Nope. Lead referee changes his mind. He'll go back to the Thunder. Playing in their offensive half. Whistles blow. Play is stopped. Make sure they have the right call. They do. The Thunder will have a throw-in in their offensive half. Rosenberger will take it. He'll play right near side to Cole Martin. Martin tries to touch one on toward goals. Had the idea of flicking it back to Rosenberger, but Onfrey was there instead. Goals the ball at his feet. Near sideline, getting pushed away from the ball. Very physical defense. Coming from Stephen Chase on Drew Goals. Wheaton will have a throw.
And Joey Lynn's going to come back in, as well as Nick Hollenkamp. Lynn's going to replace Colt Martin. And Vaquito, who's been battling injuries tonight, going to take a breather. He's come back strong in the second half.
He sure has. Throw-in comes in toward the 18, flicked on toward the top. Knocked away, falling at the ground of Russo. Back and forth, the teams exchange headers. Rosenberger off his left foot. Played along back along the midfield stripe. Hussey's there, undercuts a deep ball. Rosenberger lets it hit the ground once, goes out of bounds. It'll be a Maroon throw-in. One ball, rolling out on the field. Onfrey will take it. Makes a throw-in toward Hattenberg. Bada intercepts over the midfield touchline. Goals, touches one toward the direction of Josh Clark. Looks like Mosry's going to get there first. He shields off Goals to allow Lane to kick it away and clear.
Dangerous play by the keeper there. He could have picked it up, and Clark was swimming around the keeper, or the shield, and he almost blocked that back towards the net.
A well-touched ball into the right corner. Mitchell Pardo got there first. Headed away. Any initial damage there? Away from Parr. Throwing coming out for the Maroons in their offensive half. Playing now in toward the middle portion of the 18-yard box. Ball is along the ground, crossed in, but no Maroon shirts at home. It was only Christian Rosenberger who gladly took it. However, Maroons still control. Sanchez gets a right footer into it. Headed away by Hussey. About 30 yards away. They play one in toward Onfrey. Onfrey, fronted by Rosenberger. One touch back to Onfrey. A little too much juice. Knocked away by Russo. Joey Lynn has it at his feet. Lynn plays toward Clark. Clark gets double teamed. Clark tries to shoulder off a man, getting it back to Lynn. Lynn plays it through Russo to Hussey. Hussey clears away with the right foot. Goals giving chase, trying to split a double team. Headed away back toward the keeper Lane. Goals falls to the turf. Lane scoops it up.
Seen quite a battle between Rashad Masri, the senior, and the senior Drew Goltz in the back. Those two seem to be going at it every time the ball comes down there. It's a fun matchup to watch.
They sure have. Just over 18 minutes remain in regulation. No score from Joe Bean. Header comes up into the air. Joey Lynn trying to win it. However, Chicago still maintains possession in their offensive third. Rosenberger heads one away. Onfrey's in the vicinity. Knocked away by Josh Clark as he tries to win it from Shamlian. Sanchez now controls in the defensive half. Gets a left-footed into it. Joey Lynn tries to win a header. However, he just goes in off the back of his head and cleared away out of bounds off the Maroons. Lynn will take a throw-in. Near side. Defensive half. 17:50 and counting. Lynn looking for options. Finds Corey Weaver. Weaver touches back behind him toward Matt Hussey. However, it's not a very good clear. Hollenkamp coming over. Seeger cleans it up, though. Over the midfield stripe. Goals goes high into the air. Masri trying to win it. Goals coming back. Foul's called. It will go into the direction of University of Chicago. But Goals has really a non-stop motor out there in that forward line. Onfrey gives it up to Masri for a free kick. He passes it on to Garrett Laird. No, Masri will indeed take it. Right footer. Gets one in toward the top of the 18. Hollenkamp is there, tries to flick on a header. Russo, though, gets it away. Musgraves is there, pushing the back a little bit, still dribbling across. Now Chad still maintains possession as he brings it in toward the circle. Now changes direction and goes right toward Christian Rosenberger. Rosenberger working away around Onfroy, goes back and forth. Now he's got Joey Lynn sprinting up along the right sideline. Good sprint from Lynn as he gets in toward the corner. A chance to cross it in toward the middle. Chicago is the only people there, though. Cleared away with a header. Taken now at the feet of Kiskin. Sawyer Kiskin plays right side. Moving back now is Kyle Kerfurst. Over the midfield stripe they come. Kerfurst still with possession. Knocked away initially by Parr. Rosenberger is there to clean it with a right foot. Still in the possession of Chicago. At the feet of Sanchez. Sanchez trying to work around Musgrave. Sanchez in toward the box. The left-footed shot sails just wide of the left post.
Nice step by Rosenberger there in the middle of the field. He needed help. He provides the step, and now you're going to get
Number 3,
Adam Blackman back into the game for the Thunder. He's going to replace Chad Musgrave. So you're going to get a little bit of a cycle going on with your forwards. You're going to try to get each of them a couple minutes of breathers. Rosenberger's giving your team a real nice spark at the top of the formation, so you don't feel bad about leaving him in the game. You actually like your chances with some fresh legs as this game rolls on. Under 16 minutes to play here. We are scoreless.
Shamlian gliding with the ball in the middle, tries to hit it toward Hollenkamp, cleared away with the left foot of Matt Hussey, now at the front foot of Sanchez. Sanchez trying to play a through ball in toward the middle, nothing but white shirts there though, into the arms of Seeger. 15.5 remain.
And we've got some extracurriculars on the far side of the field. They have stopped the clock.
Looks like Sam Preston may have lost a little bit of equipment. He now has to come off of the field.
And he'll be replaced by Nick Codaspodi.
While he's holding a little bit of a hamstring, as you mentioned, Rusty Codaspodi comes into the game.
Might have been cramping up.
May have been.
He comes right back to the sideline and goes down to get stretched out. It's one of those nights where you're going to cramp up pretty easily.
Goals trying to win a back flick header. Lynn now has it in the offensive third. Lynn tries to work around a man, touches toward Rosenberger. Rosenberger working on Onfroy. Rosenberger touches one in toward the middle to Clark. Clark getting knocked away and shoves his man to the turf. It'll be a free kick in the 18-yard box. Clark can't believe it as he put two hands to his head, but the foul was drawn by Garrett Laird. Laird never ceases the physical play, even though he has a yellow card awarded to him already in this game.
Hey, you like that from a player, though. You do get caution, and you've got to be a little bit more careful, but he's playing clean soccer, and he's playing very good defense as well.
1-2 touch on toward Blackman, who's playing the far left forward now. Out of bounds it goes off a maroon foot. Wheaton will take a throw. Comes
Under
in
15 to play here at Joe Bean.
If we thought the first half required any go time offensively, the second half, although it's been a little bit more, as a foul has been called against the University of Chicago. Flames pleading for a yellow card. They won't get it. Falling hard to the turf was Mitchell Parr, who's already had a few hard knocks in this game already. That can't feel good for number 17.
Yeah, and they're lucky that didn't lead to a caution there, because there was no touch of the ball on that tackle, and it was clearly the ankles of Parr that ended up getting tangled up. So it's an interesting spot, because you can try to put something into the box and create something now with 14 minutes left, and they're going to quick play it into the middle to Hussey.
Hussey now sizes one up from 40, punches one in toward the middle of the box. No one's at home. It gets not deflected by anyone over the end line. Goal kick now will come for Elick Lane.
It looked to be a little bit of almost a hockey play where you try to get some interference in front of the net just to send something on, misdirect it, except you never really put it on target to begin with, so the misdirection couldn't come. They had a lot of guys lined up across the top of the box trying to get a heel flick on it. Just couldn't get it accurate enough.
Lane's right footer comes toward the direction of Russo, heads it on. Now Parr smacks it off Russo's chest into the chest of Rosenberger, who clears behind him toward Hussey. Hollenkamp chasing down Hussey, but he clears away effectively. Now Onfroy controls, though. Onfroy working around a man. Onfroy still controlling with the left foot. Rosenberger comes to clear. So does Weaver. Weaver getting knocked around by Onfroy. Touched away. Russo now controls in the middle defensive half. Plays toward Bada. Haven't called his name in the second half till that point. Back and forth it goes. Shamlian with a left-footed ball playing in toward the corner. Kisner tries to chase it down. Kisner working on Lynn. Lynn shields him off cleanly, though. Takes the tackle, passes toward Rosenberger near side. Rosenberger lost possession. The Maroons will have a throw-in with 12:45 and counting in their offensive half. To take it will be Alexis Onfroy. Onfroy goes into the direction of Hollenkamp. Now playing with the ball at his feet is Kyle Kerr first. Back to Onfroy, back to Kerr first. Lynn coming on defensively, does a nice job, touches it away toward Rosenberger, plays toward Clark near side, brings it across the midfield stripe. He's got Goals in front of him. He wants to get a through ball to Goals. Goals has it by himself, one-on-one with the goal. He's shot toward the goal, save made by Elick Lane. A beautiful save. Goals puts a hand on his head. He thought he had an opportunity to score. Boy, that was the best opportunity of the night. His goals dribbled into the top of the 18. Shot one, but too close to the 6'2" Elick Lane, who made the save. Wheaton still maintains possession in their offensive third. The Maroons, though, they clear it away into the air. Boy, that was the best look of the night, and it came for the senior captain goals. He was unable to capitalize.
Look out.
Unleashes a long shot from 30 yards. Lane shoves up 2 fists. It goes over the crossbar. Boy, Russ, for a lot of offense that we were lacking for in the last 30 seconds, came the 2 best opportunities of the night for Wheaton, and they've earned themselves a corner.
I'll tell you what, Elick Lane had himself a real quiet night until about the last 30 seconds. Drew Goltz wants that one back. He had the entire far half of the net. Could have even gotten closer to Lane to make him commit, and he just put it too close to the middle. But then Lane makes a great play on a rocket from Clark. Look for them to go to Bada here.
Clark tries to go into the middle. Bada looked to head it in, but it gets cleared away. Rosenberger changes direction toward the top of the 18, plays behind him toward Mitchell Parr. Mitchell Parr speeds around the ball, trying to change direction. He gets fronted and cleared away nicely by Chicago.
Got a problem on numbers here.
Hussey, though, is there to clean it away. It'll be a throw-in for UChicago, as Hussey barely got there in time with that problem of numbers.
Number 10, Michael Choquette.
And now it's Michael Choquette, who has been the catalyst for the Maroons so far. That's a race that if Hussey doesn't win, Chicago is 3-on-1, and I believe it was, I'm not sure, I think it was Rosenberger was the guy rushing through the back line on our side as we go inside 11 minutes to play. Now, all of a sudden, the field has opened up. We've been bottled up for so long, and it just turned into a track meet the last couple minutes.
Sure has.
And now we've got an offsides called against Chicago.
The offsides has been ruled by the far sideline official. 10.5 minutes remain. Boy, that was a pretty eventful 78th minute that we just had there between the shots of Goals and Clark, especially the opportunity from Drew Goals. And Elick Lane made a spectacular save.
And more in the last minute than we'd had in the previous 77.
No doubt about that. Chicago tries to make an attack. Ball played in toward the area of Kishner, being shielded off by Russo. Clears with the left foot. It'll be out of bounds for a deep offensive third throw-in for the Maroons. 10 minutes flat and counting from there.
So now you're going to see both teams really trying to push for that goal before the end of the regulation. And you're going to see the field open up like as the last 3 minutes or so, but you also open up with the field, you open up the opportunity for a mistake, and both of these teams have really countered well. Now, this is going to be a corner kick for Chicago, so after only having 2 all game, we've now had 2 in the last couple minutes.
Sanchez did a nice job of spinning around the corner and knocking it off a Thunder defender. It'll be Chicago corner kick, their first of the second half.
And it looks like it's Kerr first to the flag to take it.
Kerr first to the left foot in swinger from that position.
Not committing many to the box. They're going to bring in a few on a delay.
Here it comes toward the top of the 6-yard box. It's on the ground. Still an opportunity to shoot. Getting in front of it, though, is Lynn.
Wow.
And now cleared away by Josh Clark. For at the time being, Maroons still possessed outside the 18 box. Choquette judges one toward the top. An opportunity coming is Kisner. Shot whipped at the top by Onfroy. He had a beautiful look for a shot against Seeger, but he just overran it.
Wow.
Missed it.
Just Noonan right at the about 12 yards out. He was point blank. Seeger was out of position following the first one, and the Thunder caught a break.
Choquette.
Sloppy defense, though. Very sloppy defense on that corner kick.
And it makes you nervous if you're a Thunder fan of that defense here late in the game.
Tell you what, the last 5 minutes have to make both fans nervous, because Chicago was a little bit sloppy in the turnover that set Drew Goltz loose. And then Josh Clark's rocket came out of nowhere. It just seemed to turn, pivot, and volley, and he sent it right at, that was about to tuck right under the crossbar.
Seeger takes a free kick after the offsides call deep in the Wheaton offensive half, headed away by the Maroons. It'll be a Thunder throw-in in their offensive half, and another substitution comes in.
Pavlak going to come back in. Kammer going to come back in. Going to replace Russo and Bada. Now, this is an interesting substitution because with Kammer and for Bada, you lose the size on the set pieces, but Kammer is a little bit more fleet-footed than Bada is.
He is, and this is all due to the injury to Jason Lawler, who took a spill earlier. Kammer and Bada both filling in that middle, or that center mid position for Coach Giuliano. Kammer getting some really quality, valuable minutes. Chicago will take a throw-in their defensive half. 7.5 minutes remain. Throw-in comes high into the air, headed briefly by Pavlak, and falling to the turf is Josh Clark. There'll be a foul called.
Again, you've got an opportunity to set something here. Last time we saw the Thunder play towards the middle. from a similar position. This one's going to be about 10 yards or so closer, assuming they keep it where it is.
Edwards to the press box, please. Clarence Edwards to the press box.
The official reaching for his pocket. We're not sure if he's going to award another caution, and he has. Another caution has been issued
to Michael Choquette. Dan Pavlik and Choquette were both going at it a little bit of extracurricular activity after that play.
Hey, is that card? To who?
Choquette earns it. Now taking it from just about 15 yards on the offensive side of the midfield stripe. Getting a foot into it is Clark. High and toward the corner of the box. Goals tries to touch behind him. No one is there.
Got to watch the counter. Chicago's ready to go.
They are indeed.
Look at Joey Lynn.
Joey Lynn trying to check it down on the defensive line. He's nearly the only man there, deep in the left corner, and he rolls it off of the foot.
The deflection
of Sawyer Kiskin. It'll be, well, it should be a Thunder throw.
That should be a Thunder throw-in. And look out now, Stanton Coville's coming into the game for Chicago. He's been quiet all night in limited minutes, but he is their leading goal scorer, leads the team in shot attempts, and he's going to check in with 6.5. And the Maroons catch a break here because the officials missed the deflection following the clear out of bounds. So now they've got the ball in the attacking third as now Rosenberger gets enough to clear.
Rosenberger tries to clear, goes out of bounds. Now we'll redo the throw-in from an exact spot. Alexis Onfroy, 6:13 and counting. Onfroy will take the throw-in. Choquette comes near side. Instead, it's flicked on toward the middle of the 6 yard. Cleared away, though, by Pavlik. High into the air. Goals is there. Lets it bounce once to the turf. Tries to win another header. Up in the air he goes. At the feet of Blackman. Choquette, though, comes over and intercepts. Choquette plays one in toward the middle. At the top of the 18. Changing direction is Kiskin. Kiskin plays one back in toward the middle. One-on-one with Seeger. The shot goes off the crossbar and is deflected. Remains in play. Blackman has it far sideline. Boy, that was close to offside position, let alone nearly a goal for the Maroons.
Goodness.
Oh, goodness knows.
Saved by the woodwork.
5.5 remain. Choquette has the ball at his feet. Chips one in toward the top of the 18. Good ball. Hussey tries to clear away. It's still at the feet. Seeger clears it up at the top of the 6 yard. Hussey made a very interesting decision there to basically shield off his man as it rolled ever close to the post and Ryan Seeger.
So now it's Chicago putting on the pressure over the last 2 minutes after the Thunder had about a 3-minute stretch around the 78th to the 80th minute. Now we've got 5 and change left here from Joe Bean Stadium as the teams push to break a scoreless tie here in the final minutes and try to stave off overtime.
It's going to definitely be an exciting final 5 before we might reach overtime. Rosenberg has the ball at his feet. He has goals to his right. Clark in the middle. Punches a shot, rather, and looking for the deflection. Not going to get it. It will be out of play for a goal kick.
Entering for the Thunder,
and Rosenberg is going to be replaced by Chad Musgraves, but the coaching staff has to be extremely pleased with the minutes they've gotten from Christian Rosenberger tonight. Spelled Drew Goltz very well at the end of the first half. Had about a good 20 minutes there where he was very effective with the ball.
4.5 minutes remain. Elick Lane gets a right footer into it. It's going to travel toward the mid-circle. Headed into the back by Pavlik. Choquette now has the ball at his feet, and he's got ahead of steam. Hussey comes over to try to clear him off.
Great
he does,
step.
and does well. Matt Hussey, good job to clear it. Out of play will be a Chicago throw. Onfoy will take it near side. Onfoy comes in toward the direction of Choquette. Choquette tries to shoulder a pass where he thought Stanton Coville was going to charge. Coville went the other direction. It'll be a throw-in for the Thunder. Musgraves tries to touch one on backwards in the direction of Kammer. High into the air, Ryan tries to win a header. Maroons still, though, control in their offensive half. Playing along towards Sanchez. Sanchez tries to keep it in play far sideline, is able to do so, but Blackman cuts him off. Adam clears with a left footer and into the stands. It'll be a throw-in deep in the offensive half for Chicago. 3:40 and counting in regulation, no score. Ball comes in quickly into the 18-yard backs, and Seeger cleans it up. Seeger coming up, looking for an opportunity to throw it, took out of Chicago forward.
They've got an opportunity here.
Or now here's Clark trying to scoot around the defense, falling to the turf. No foul call. None should be. Weaver has the ball at his feet in the offensive half. Weaver trying to work around a man, does. Deep into the left corner now toward the top of the 18. Weaver a chance to cross with the left foot, but the only man there is Romney. And now coming with it at his feet, going on the counterattack is Choquette. Choquette playing deep into the left corner. Chasing it down is Preston, but instead getting to their first is Seeger. Rather, it wasn't Preston, that was Kyle Kerr first.
Man, we've really gone back and forth for the last 40 seconds. Just under 3 minutes left. Scoreless, and here we go the other way again.
Ball played in toward the right side of Musgraves. Musgraves working around his man, that's Onfroy. Can his speed win the battle? Musgraves trying to turn the corner. Onfroy, though, forces him out. He'll go over the end line for a goal kick.
Vaquito right back into the game for the Maroons. I tell you what, Onfroy is only a sophomore, but he's a very headsy player for the Maroons. He's got a great build to him. He's lanky, and he uses his body extremely well. We've seen that goal line shield used very well by Onfroy tonight as we go under 2.5 to play. Off the pitches, Curtis Pody for the Maroons.
Lane gets a foot into it. 2:15 and counting. Pavlak wins another ball. Back toward Hussey's direction, though. He feeds toward Blackman. Blackman punches in toward behind him to Cameron. Cameron at center mid, plays right side to Chad Musgraves. Musgraves trying to get a one-touch to himself, but it goes off his foot out of bounds. The Maroons will have a throw-in in their defensive half. Just under 2 minutes remain. From Joe Bean, no score. Onfroy will take the throw. Onfroy comes near sideline. Pavlak again working on Kerfurst. Ball played out the feet of Kerfurst. Kerfurst plays a touch to Chiquette. Chiquette gets in front of an opportunity to clear by Hussey and goes out of bounds for a thunder throw in their defensive third. Joey Lynn will take it. 1:35 and counting. Lynn trying to find Musgraves, but Onfroy was the closest one to it. Chiquette. Now, number 10 trying to work around Weaver. Musgraves comes from the backside. Lynn tried to clear toward Musgraves, but he's unable to do it. It goes out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for the Maroons. 1:20 to go. Substitutions come in.
And it's Hollenkamp.
Hollenkamp just coming into the game, and off goes Kerfurst.
So they're going to bring in an offensive player for the final minute and take off Kerfurst, the defender.
High throw-in coming in toward the box. Pavlak heads it away, tries to clear. It's still in play around outside the 18 box. Hollenkamp clears. It goes out of bounds. It should be a thunder throw, but they'll give it to the Maroons. 56 seconds and counting. Throw comes in toward the middle. The Maroons constantly trying to draw a foul in that 18-yard box to win that penalty kick, but the refs aren't buying it. Seeger will have a goal kick for himself at the top of the 6. 45 seconds remaining. 45 seconds remain. Second half, no score. Clark now controls with the ball at his feet. Touches toward Musgraves. Clark still with it, though. Goes in the direction of goals. Cleared away near sideline and out of bounds. Joey Lynn will take the throw. Lynn quickly works toward Josh Clark. Clark tried to feed the ball in toward the direction of Musgraves with a header, but it's cleared away again by Onfroy. Pavlak has it toward. Maroons have a chance to push with 20 seconds remain in their offensive half. Now Vaquito overran the ball, but still has it now working on Mitchell Parr. Vaquito, ball at his feet, 13 seconds. Vaquito still outside the 18.
Corner.
It goes out of bounds. It'll be a corner kick. 10 seconds remain.
Look out.
5 seconds remain.
Get assembled.
And they're trying to get assembled. The last stroke. It goes high into the air. The offside position is called, and that will be the final horn. And that finish, the ball was still moving as Vaquito put it down for a chance to win the corner. Not only that, but running the table in conference and falling in the tournament final was not enough to earn them an at-large bid in the NCAA Division III National Tournament.
These two teams have played 64 times in their program histories. They have tied 7 of them. The Thunder hold a 45-12 edge in the games that have ended up with a decision one way or the other.
Good touch passing from the University of Chicago as they took the initial kickoff of the 10 minutes. 15 seconds in, they'll have a throw-in in their offensive half. Taking the throw will be Michael Chiquette.
One thing you don't have to worry about with switching into the field again this late in the night, the weather is not an issue. We don't have wind affecting play either direction.
Goals gets in front of a one-touch. Now Musgraves controls, bringing it across the midfield stripe. Turns direction, plays back toward Mitchell Parr. Parr works around a man, touches to Weaver. Weaver drops back. Hollenkamp giving chase on Hussey. Now Parr, there's a lot of pressure coming on from Chicago.
Wow, what
Parr
an athletic play by Parr.
Very athletic to touch it toward Musgraves. However, University of Chicago has it, and it's Chiquette touching it toward Joey Lynn. Comes over to deflect it in the direction of Josh Clark, and it goes to the opposing keeper.
Mitchell Parr had his head clear out over his heels. His hands were back, and yet he had the ability and the coordination to stay on his feet and get a touch before he went sprawling down. What a play by Parr.
Very athletic play, and it helps the Thunder out to keep possession. Ryan Kemmer still playing center mid for Coach Giuliano's squad in this overtime. Cleared away by the Chicago defense deep into the offensive third. Joey Lynn's defender there. Blackman has the ball at his feet now. Chicago still pressing in their attacking half as Blackman fell to the turf, nothing called, but Camera controls. Camera coming back right to left. He's got Musgraves if he wants him, trying to punch it toward goals, headed away now at the feet of Chiquette. Chiquette plays it back toward Sanchez. Sanchez plays near sideline, hitting his man is Lopez. Lopez the ball at his feet. Musgraves giving some pressure. Lopez plays behind him toward Masri. But Masri just lets it go toward Elick Lane. Elick Lane has the ball at his feet. He'll come with a cross. 8 minutes to go. First overtime, no score from Joe Bean. Cameron tried to touch it on, unable to reach it though. Comes over now toward left side, far side for Stephen Chase. Play along that side. Coming back in toward the middle. Circle, left-footed cross in toward Chiquette's area. Headed away by Mitchell Parr. Hollenkamp, though, touches with the right foot and controls. He's got a little bit of green to work with. Instead, he defers toward his teammate, Shamlion. Works it back left side. Left-footed long cross. Opportunity comes in toward the box. And coming in with a high, try to bicycle it is Nick Lopez. Not really a bicycle as much as was trying to meet the ball in the air inside the 18-yard box and punch that one in. It would have been a sincerely athletic play to get that ball near the post. He went high and over the post, over the end line, and Seeger will have a goal kick. So
you're going to see a tactical change here for the Thunder as well. Taking out Cameron, putting in Colt Martin. They're going to put Colt back in the defensive. They're going to push Joey Lynn up to the defensive mid, trying to get a little bit more presence around the midfield stripe. Try to possess the ball a little bit longer. Joey's been very effective. That could be a costly misplay for the Maroons.
Maroons misplay.
Almost on the edge of the attacking third. 7 minutes to play here in the first overtime. We are scoreless.
Musgraves hands one to Parr. Parr gets fronted by Lopez, though. Keeping it in play is Chase. Near side, Parr. Slide tackle. Well done by Mitchell Parr, out of bounds. However, the Maroons will have that throw in just on their attacking half. Pavlak cuts off the throw, heads it away toward Goals. Goals possesses, stops the ball with his feet, has some bit to work with. Goals comes in toward the middle, changes direction, goes right side toward Adam Blackman. Blackman trying to track it down before the ball rolls on the turf out of bounds. He does. Comes in toward the top of the box, splits a double team, trying to get in toward Josh Clark. Goals touches behind him toward Weaver's area. Touching the ball now is Blackman. He's still on the side of the 18, wanting to cross it in, gets fronted away, and looks like it gets cleared by the Maroons. Well done by Onfroy.
They're not out of it yet, though.
Not completely. Still in the attacking third. Mitchell Parr on the very edge. Parr nutmegs Lopez, but still cleared away by Sanchez. Stays in play, far sideline in the attacking half. Hollenkamp giving chase, but Pavlak works it away from Hollenkamp. It goes off Pavlak's foot, out of bounds. Will be a throw-in. Lopez will take it. Parr gets back on defense. Lopez now gives to Sanchez. Sanchez works middle to Shamlian. Shamlian. Blackman was there making him force a decision. Onfroy. Onfroy, the defender, works all the way to the top of the box, shoots one well wide of the goal, and setting it up quickly will be Seeger for a goal kick. Seeger gets a right foot into it.
I like that move by Seeger. You got yourself 3-on-3 on the back because no one's getting back, and he quickly plays Josh Clark.
Clark works one around in toward the middle circle. Clark, a left-footed ball toward Musgrave's direction. The flag has been up for offsides anyway as it travels over the end line. It'll be a goal kick with 5:15 and counting from there in the first overtime. No score from Joe Bean between University of Chicago and Wheaton College. A very important game for both teams, especially in regional rankings.
Tell you what, you're seeing some plays on both sides right now in the overtime period that on paper don't look like much, but they're effort plays and they're heads-up plays that are really putting their teams in a position to crack this tie and go home with a win.
Goals tries to force a spinning header toward Musgrave's direction. Musgraves working off his man in Sanchez. He controls in the attacking half of the Thunder. Plays toward Parr. Parr back to Lynn. Lynn stepped over the ball. Musgraves, though, still controls, working on Sanchez. Musgraves comes in toward the middle, changes direction toward the idea of Blackman's. Blackman's got it. Working on a defender, changes direction. Left-footed cross it toward the middle. Headed away, though, by Masri.
Joey Lynn just a step slow getting to the spot. It was a great left-footed ball from Blackman, bending onto the top of the 8. Joey Lynn was running right down the middle.
Blackman still looking to cross now with the right foot, but it gets a tackle well done by Offrey. Left-footed pass comes toward Hollenkamp's direction, but Hussey's there to stay it. Hussey tried to slide a pass in toward Musgraves, but Lopez got there first. Weaver knocks Lopez off the ball, but dribbling it now left to right, and coming in now is Chiquette. Chiquette tries to touch one back in towards Sanchez. Musgraves, though, intercepts, changes direction nicely, stops the ball, has it at his feet. He's got Mitchell Parr near side. Tried to get one toward Clark, but wasn't there. Shamley, and now we're going with the ball to Chiquette, but Chiquette stopped his route toward it, and Seeger comes over to claim possession. 3:42 in counting, no score, first overtime.
This game's a lot like what we saw in the last 12 minutes right now here in the overtime period. We weren't sure if it would bog down again or if it would stay opened up. And sure enough, that ball's been going back and forth.
Weaver controls just on the Wheaton defensive half. Looking for a ball along the near sideline in the attacking half. No one's at home. The Maroons will have the offensive.
And it's Kyle Kerr first coming back in, taking out Hollenkamp. So they'll reverse the substitution they made late in the second half. They're going to put in Kerr first for Hollenkamp.
Throw-in comes near the midfield stripe. Pavlak trying to work off Kerr first. There's a ball in toward the top of the 18, but the nearest one to it is Siegert. He's there, scoops it up, gets a drop kick into it. Under 3 minutes remain. First overtime, no score. Charles Clark tried to shoulder off a ball, but it hit him right in the neck. Fell dead to the turf. The Chicago Maroons control. Chase brings it over the midfield stripe. Rather, that's Shamlian. Shamlian touches in toward the middle. Knocking a man down as Adam Blackman is falling to the turf. Was Chase, and now a free kick will come in the offensive attacking half for the Maroons.
And so now with 2.5, the Thunder are going to commit everybody to the defense. You hear Coach Giuliano yelling, everybody, everybody. And the Maroons going to quickly play wide to Sanchez.
Sanchez trying to cross one in toward the top of the 18. Headed away, though, at the moment. Shamlian tries to go back the other way. Weaver attempts to clear at the foot of Lopez. Weaver, again with the right foot, now gets it away. Well done to clear that by the senior Weaver. 2:10 and counting from there. A ball played up toward the middle to Choquette. Choquette trying to splitting a double team. Pavlak turns him around, though, and wins the ball.
Great mark.
Pavlak still chasing it down. Well done by Dan Pavlak. Out of bounds it goes. It'll be a throw-in for Chicago. 1:55 and counting. Sanchez will take it, still in the attacking half. Pavlak heads it away. Shamlian's the nearest person to it. He's got some green to work with in the attacking half. Blackman makes him force a decision, try to slide and intercept that pass. However, it got to Onfray. And to the 18-yard box, a pass is attempted and made, but Siegert will get to it. Pavlak looking toward Giuliano, requesting a substitution, but there's only 1:30 remaining in the overtime. Pavlak needs to gut it out. Shamlian trying to win the ball at his feet. Goals giving pressure. Shamlian still with it, plays left side for Onfroy.
I wonder if Pavlak's not a little bit banged up. You don't typically see Pavlak asking out as Russo's getting ready to check in here with 1:15 left here in our first overtime from Joe Bean Stadium. We're scoreless between the Wheaton College Thunder and the University of Chicago Maroons.
Lynn trying to play a ball toward Blackman and rolls out of bounds. 1:02, 1:01, and 60 seconds remain. A substitution will come, though.
1 minute remaining.
Alan Pikna coming back in for the Maroons, and as we mentioned, Russo replacing Pavlak.
And for the Thunder,
And Pavlak's a big guy that banged up because he's your all-region defender. He's your best man marker. And Choquette's really been threatening in the last 20 minutes or so.
Choquette has been streaking toward the top of the 18, looking for good balls his way. 35 seconds remain, first overtime. In the middle circle, controlling is Shamlian at the center mid. Joey Lynn giving chase, though, roll out of bounds. There'll be another Maroon throw-in at the midfield stripe. 24 seconds and counting, still no score. First overtime. It hasn't been.
This one looks like we're headed for the second one. They're going to play into space.
Goals trying to give chase. Goals trying to work around a man, and a foul is called against Drew Goals.
And that will be all she wrote for the first overtime period.
7, 6, 5, 4.
Public address
3,
counts down 5,
2,
4 to 0. And the horn sounds for the team for the final 10 minutes of overtime. If we remain scoreless, it will be an official draw from Joe Bean Stadium. Both teams coming into tonight's match 3 wins and 1 loss apiece.
Blackman, Weaver, Clark, Goltz, and Musgraves, along with Lynn, Russo, Parr, Hussey, and Martin, the 10 up front of Seeger here in the second overtime.
Wheaton took the initial kick of the second overtime. It is out of play. Wheaton will have a throw-in in their attacking half. On the ball and taking it away nicely is Pikna, and he touches to Choquette. Choquette plays behind him. It's at the left foot and bringing it along left side to Onfroy. Onfoy being chased down by Blackman. A lot of energy now coming for the Maroons offensively as the ball comes in toward the top of the 18. Chasing it down is Kyle Kerfers. Kerfers has it just outside the 6. Kerfers plays one in toward the middle. Seeger came out initially. Mitchell Parr played a left foot clear. Onfoy now maintains possession. And now coming in toward the top of the 18 is Chiquette. Got denied. Russo tries to clear. Touches one toward Weaver.
Got
Weaver
a good counter
maybe
opportunity here.
Counter attack. Slide tackle made and nicely done by Shamlian. Now University of Chicago with a little bit of numbers. Plays near side. Trying to turn around and unleashing a right-footed shot, but Martin got in the direction of that one. Blackman gets shoved off the ball, and well done by Colville. Colville touches back. Ball played in toward the middle. Still in the attacking half, going back and forth. Tried to be touched on numerous times by Pinknell, but he's unable to touch it. Martin now controls, and he rolls it off the foot of Colville out of bounds for a Wheaton throw.
Really not a whole lot of foul calls in this game. You've had the 2 yellows issued against Chiquette and Laird for the Maroons, but other than that, it's been a clean game. It's been a very loosely called game, which has played well for the flow of play. As we're 8:20 left here, or we will be called a draw with no goals on the scoreboard.
Mitchell Parr takes a throw on the far sideline, gets it across midfield stripe toward Josh Clark's area. However, the Maroons control from there. Chiquette rolls one near side to Pinknell. Pinknell plays behind to Chase. Chase chips one with the right foot and toward open space, but the closest people there are white shirts, and Seeger comes up to the top left corner of his box to retrieve. 7:52 and counting, second overtime. No score at Joe Bean, U Chicago and Wheaton College. Goals touches one toward Adam Blackman's direction, near sideline in the attacking third, and it goes 1-2 touch pass back to Blackman. Blackman a chance to cross. He unleashes a long cross with the right foot, and it just carries the 18-yard box. Now chasing it down is Vaquito. Vaquito off his foot, out of bounds. It'll be a Thunder throw-in from that point, still at the very edge of their attacking third. Vaquito, who sustained a brief injury in that first half, came back onto the field for the second half. Has played well. Musgraves takes the throw, comes near side toward Clark. Clark working around a man, unleashes with a right-footed chipper toward Blackman's direction. However, Blackman got to it. Yep, he still did. It's still in play. No, the whistle blows that it goes over the in-line. Seemed to me, from our vantage point, that Blackman may have been able to keep that ball in play, but the referee, undoubtedly, the better view of the two of us.
It was an awkward play by Blackman because he seemed to touch it with the inside of his backside foot, but obviously the officials down there, we can't see all the way in the corner. 6:50 to play here in the second overtime. Tied at 0.
Lane will take the goal kick. Comes in high over the midfield stripe. Blackman heads one in the direction of Goals, who tries to shove off a man. Goals trying to work around. It gets cleared away by Lopez. Now comes at the foot of Weaver. Weaver working around Chiquette. Chiquette touches it away, but he plays to Parr. Parr comes in toward the top of the 18, but Masri's there. Masri plays behind him to Lane, the keeper. 6:22 and counting, no score. Lane, a low liner. Weaver tried to cut it off, but it gets directly to Pinknell, and the referee blows his whistle for a handball against Alex Pinknell, and goes into the midfield circle. Weaver will quickly play it right side to Colt Martin. Martin goes in toward Goals. Goals tries to possess. Hard pass from Martin. Cleared away by Lopez. Now Weaver, though, has the ball at his feet, still in the attacking half toward Blackman. Blackman near side touchline. Now comes back in toward the middle with a left-footed pass. Comes in toward the middle toward Colt Martin. Crosses in toward Goals' area. Defense was there first. Good idea both by Blackman and Martin. Cleared away now by Colville. The Maroons possess. Martin gets there, though, for the Thunder. Martin chips one in the direction of Josh Clark. But changing the direction and taking possession is Onfoy. Onfoy drops to Shamlian, and he clears it away over the midfield stripe. It goes. Musgraves touches to himself, working around Choquette. Musgraves brings it in toward the midfield circle. Gives. Nice dummy by Josh Clark, rolling it to Adam Blackman. Blackman deep in the corner, chance to cross potentially. Rolls one along the ground in Clark's area. Gets knocked away by a Maroon defender and out of play over the end line. It will be a corner kick for the Thunder with 5:10 remaining in the second overtime.
Sawyer Kiskian checking in for the Maroons along with Nick Lopez. Rosenberger's going to get Musgraves. Rosenberger gives you the same speed as Musgraves, the same possessing ability, but a little bit more height. And with under 5 minutes left, it could come down to the corner piece with Blackman and Weaver in the corner. And no, that's just a sub. I was going to say, look like Chicago was committing 3 to the defensive wall there.
Here comes Weaver, puts the arm in the air. The crowd roars. Weaver takes it himself. A low liner in toward the goal. Headed up in the air by Clark over the fence. Out of play.
They're going to get a deflection. They're going to do it again.
Deflection and another corner kick coming with 4.5 minutes remaining.
Interesting that typically we see in that corner, the Thunder go the two-touch corner. Weaver signaling to go direct, and he put it right on the head of Josh Clark. Now you're questioning if they're going for a direct header, if it's more of a flick on towards the far post.
Now Weaver getting a second opportunity to play another ball toward that direction. Josh Clark was the closest one to it, although he did earn the deflection off that header. Crowd gets into it again. Weaver comes in by himself, another low liner. It drops once over the 6-yard box. No one's at home. Parr unleashes a left free shot. It's onto the side netting.
Right idea by Mitchell Parr. Everybody's over on the near side. He unleashes a strong left foot. It just goes wide into the side netting on the left side. Inside of 4 minutes to go, and the Maroons dodge a couple of big ones there.
3:45 remain. Elick Lane gets a right footer into it.
Wheaton has certainly controlled this second overtime.
They sure have. They hope to earn themselves one or at least two more opportunities on the offensive end. Maroon trying to see differently to it. Goals try to slide tackle. He's called for a foul. Ball is played back for a free kick.
That was one where Drew knew it, just a little bit of a half step slow, trying to get there and take that ball away from Osfroy.
Coming into it now will be Rashad Masri, who's had a very solid defensive game against the senior Drew Goals. Those two seniors going at it, as you mentioned earlier, Russ. Now Masri gets a right footer in toward the top corner of the 18. A nice looking ball, although it travels over the end line before his teammate could get there. It'll be a Seeger goal kick with 2:55 and counting remaining before we are called a draw from Joe Bean.
This is where you're going to see both teams try to start taking chances, force the action, try to take away the W instead of the tie.
Back and forth comes the header. Clark trying to win it on the ground. Joey Lynn pursues. Now touched away and nicely done. Martin called for a foul just before the midfield stripe. 2.5 minutes remain. Free kick quickly taken and tossed right side towards Sanchez. Sanchez works around Rosenberger. Sanchez still dribbling. Sanchez toward the top of the 18. Sanchez works around a man. Rolls a pass, a potential through ball, but Seeger is the only one to it. Sanchez a lot of dribbling, but not much to show for it in the end. Seeger at 2:15 gets a drop kick, travels across the midfield stripe, headed up by Russo, goes behind him though. Hussey simply touches it on.
Hussey.
Well done by Hussey to clear back to Seeger. Seeger drops it a couple times. Header comes toward the ground. One in the air by Onfrey. Onfrey touches toward Weaver, though. Now Chiquette possesses. 1:49 and counting is Chiquette. Brings it across the midfield stripe to Pinknell. Pinknell, now Parr on the attack. Parr touches it away by Pinknell. Nicely done. Now Joey Lynn has it. Plays right side in between Blackman and Martin. Blackman, though, controls in the defensive half. Now over the midfield stripe toward Josh Clark. Josh Clark ran into Joey Lynn. And now it's taken the other way by the Maroons. However, a pass is misread. Weaver goes a 1-2 touch toward Rosenberger. Rosenberger nearly got checked off the ball. Rosenberger still has it, though. He dribbles deep into the corner of the 18 box. He's still trying to maintain possession, but a slide tackle is well made, and it goes over the out of bounds line. It'll be a throw in. 1:13 remain as one more substitution comes in for the Maroons.
And they're gonna send Parr all the way down the ramp.
Here comes Parr. He'll come off the rim. They deny the substitution as Parr comes into the throw. Into the 18-yard box it goes. Headed up into the air. Coming out to Spirit is Elick Lane.
You got to watch the counter here if they try to get it out quick.
Here comes the drop kick. It's 1-on-2 for the Maroons. Trying to win it is Hussey. He gets it toward Chiquette. Chiquette's got it. The counter tech still works. Russo gets in front of the cross opportunity with a header.
And now the defense is just running back and forth.
43 seconds remain and counting. It's a little defensive header touched on toward Elick Lane. As the freshman keeper, who's done a solid job up to this point in the game, booms one now down. Russo trying to win a header in the Wheaton defensive half. Blackman touches one on. It's now controlled by Shamley, and Lynn comes on to touch, rolls one in toward the 18-yard box, trying to keep it in play. Unable to do so, Seeger sent tumbling over. A substitution will come into the game with 15 seconds remaining. Hurrying off the field will be Pigna. 10 seconds. Seeger a goal kick. He gets one into it as it carries across midfield. One on a back heel header by the Maroons. Lynn tries one more chip opportunity toward the direction of Drew Goals. And the final horn sounds. So, Rusty, for all of that, the final from Joe Bean Stadium, it's a draw, no score.
I tell you what, after the first 75 minutes, I would have expected there to be no score. After the final 35.